Well, screw it. Let's start this thing because Blood will just show up randomly at some point anyway. The only reason I invited him, not to be bad or like rude or anything. Blood's like my walking Wikipedia page, if that makes sense. Like he has
I
so much hardcore game knowledge that I just can't even fathom where it comes from. And Yosis has got like you're all and you Gog, you're all specifically autistic in your own unique way. We've all like the game PoE has so many different aspects that you can like min max, like character wise and all that stuff. And you two have spec'd into items and builds, and I didn't.
yeah, I tend to often think of the possibilities without necessarily being the best person at optimizing to make them good. But if something can be done, I'll be interested by the possibility. Whether I actually do it or not is another thing. It doesn't need to be anything uber, just good enough to clear endgame reasonably well.
And what I wanted out of this wasn't to talk generically about echoes and ritual and stuff, unless there's something in it that you've noticed that you think you can magically abuse, build item wise and whatnot. Little secrets. I mean, everyone has their secret. They're like, oh, this is great, and I can't wait to abuse this when it comes out. And you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to share it just in case it doesn't work. But theoretically, is there anything you've seen so far that's gotten you excited from echoes or ritual?
Yes.
Go for it. Is it going to be build
Okay.
related?
So, lightning arrow.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit things with it, it hits nearby enemies. Deadeye lets you chain projectiles off walls. Does lightning arrow proc when you chain off a wall? That's the only thing I need to know, because if the answer is yes, you can trap yourself in a room with a boss and spam GMP chaining lightning arrows everywhere.
Yeah.
And every time they hit the wall or the enemy, it'll hit them.
So normally, if you fire off one volley of projectiles, normally only one of those projectiles can hit per initiation of the skill.
Like it stops shotgunning.
Yes, but that doesn't apply to secondary damage as a result of each projectile. So if an enemy is standing against a wall and you shoot 5 fireballs, 1 hits the enemy and 4 hit the wall, the explosions from the fireballs will still hit the enemy. So theoretically, you shoot 5 lightning arrows at the wall. 1 of them hits the enemy, 4 of them hit the wall. The 4 that hit the wall cause lightning arrow's secondary effect, 5 hits on the same enemy. Now, when they chain, they go back and forth. And so with each chain, this would happen again.
Hang on. So when you say chaining, are you talking about what else is present in the room in the way of monsters?
Because no, literally just
single
one
boss,
enemy
single room,
surrounded by walls. Let's say Vol Glacial Hammer works like that, even though it doesn't.
Okay. So my understanding is that there'll be like the projectiles won't chain back to the boss that you've trapped in your Vol Glacial Hammer because they won't have any valid targets to chain to. So the chains will expire, even though there's chains left. There's no valid target.
Oh, right. It'll hit the boss and then not to the wall, but it will hit the wall and then to the boss.
I don't think that the boss is a valid target because it's already been hit by that projectile barrage.
So if you shoot like 7 projectiles at once,
the first 5.
Oh, if
like
all
I aim deliberately at the wall.
Oh, okay.
Would it do the whole like minion targeting thing? Like if let's say you shoot off like 5 summon ranging spirits or something, and the first one goes, I'm going to go fight this, and the other ones smartly figure out they're not going to do that. So then you hit 5 against a wall, they all come back towards the boss, but only one of them would still hit. I mean, I'm just thinking of the way that they're going to, if they hear this, counteractively nerf it immediately kind of thing.
So the way that, just to clarify exactly what you mean by this, if using your Val Glacial Hammer arena as an example, you're standing at 12 o'clock, 3/4 of the way up. The boss is 12 o'clock and 85% of the way up, and you're firing at 6 o'clock. You're firing with minimal spread, and so that all of the arrows point back at the boss. The ones that do succeed in chaining out of the 30%, they all fire back at the boss. And then they hit the boss and also potentially hit the wall behind them. Is that what you're thinking of?
I was thinking more, I don't really care about the projectiles after they've chained off the wall. I only care about the secondary effect of Lightning Arrow, which hits nearby enemies.
So you want it to, you want the hit of the wall to count as a hit?
Off the wall counts as a hit for the purposes of Lightning Arrow.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
That'd be like if you
it
shot
does,
like
then
fireball.
you could like kinetic blast, fireball, shotgun, but with
Yeah.
lightning arrow. And theoretically, depending on how many enemies are around and how the chaining off the wall works, you could probably get multiple chains going, and then that would further multiply the damage.
You can't
With
like
fireball, it's not really possible.
you can't projectile into frostwall anymore, can you?
Yeah, I was just using that as an example, even though you literally can't.
Yeah, that's fine. God damn it, man. This I like it when it's big brain enough that I'm like, I don't know what's happening, and Gog's just sitting there like, fuck, I don't know the answer to this.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
that's why I was like, this is what I need to know. Like, I would have to ask a dev because there's no precedent.
So what do you?
The precedent was that Frostwall worked for projectiles, and so you could just use an infractum for infinite pierce, and then shoot a lightning arrow through the Frostwall, and then every tick it went through the Frostwall, it would count as a hit, so it would damage nearby enemies like infinitely. So the way they fixed that was make Frostwall not interact with projectiles at all. So now with this Deadeye chaining off the wall with a 30% chance, it's like they've reintroduced what you used to be able to do with Frostwall just a little bit.
Honestly, it
That is my
probably
hope.
doesn't count as a hit. It's probably just based on the technology they're using for PoE2, where they're like, we can stick, if we shoot arrows at a wall, sometimes they bounce off now, kind of thing. It's probably just using, if it hits a wall, you have a 30% chance to either start a projectile from here going outwards again, or stick into the wall, or bounce off and play a nice little animation. It'd be far too much mathematics server-wise if they included every single physical thing that an arrow can hit as a hit.
The key question is, does this count as consuming your chains? So if you've got one chain and one fork and three no pierces. That's not going to, pierces will be used up first. Or actually, yeah, how does it work if you hit the wall and you've got pierces left? Because normally you wouldn't be able to chain until you've consumed all your pierces. How does it work?
Yeah,
you just shoot through walls. Labyrinth killer right there.
I feel like it would just hit the wall and then not bounce off because it has a pierce and a chain, but the pierce hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Pierce prevents you from chaining off a wall effectively.
So you were saying, would hitting the wall count as a chain then? Because the notable gives you a +1 chain and can chain off walls. So that means your first chain would be from the wall, and if you had another chain, it would then chain from the boss again.
Yes. So I feel as if it consumes a chain, that should count as a hit for the purposes of something like Kinetic Blast. Like Kinetic Blast can chain off something, and it'll have its 4 mini explosions at both of the impacts.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't see why it won't work. I mean, apart from the fact that lightning arrows shit.
Specifically made it not work, it should work.
Yeah, because Fireball has some really tricky interactions there. With Fireball, the explosion is created only on projectiles that it forks through from memory. Like if you lob a fireball at a monster and then it chains, that does not trigger the fireball explosion. It does inflict a hit and potentially an ignite on the enemy that's hit, but it doesn't do the explosion and hit everything around it. If you're using Fireball with Fork, then you get both the what do you call it? The explosion at the same time as well. So it's all sorts of weird and wonderful interactions. And I think that's...
I feel like that's a bug with Fork, because stuff like Shattering Steel, like where there's a projectile and then when the projectile ends, it has a cone. The projectile and the cone both hit the enemy sometimes, and I think that's a bug, especially with Fork, because when you fork it, there are 2 cones and they both hit and it doubles the damage. That was a bug with Shattering Steel and one other skill that I forgot.
Tornado Shot with in the Rigwold's Quill Zero.
Right, and there was another skill. There was like a new one that it happened to again, and they had to fix that one as well.
All right. See, I thought it was an intended interaction with Fireball. It's been that way for a very long time.
See, with Fireball, I'm pretty sure there's an explosion when the projectile dies, and I feel like Fork, the projectile dies and then it spawns 2 new ones.
That's correct.
So I feel like it's not like doubling the damage where it has the impact damage and the explosion damage. It's just exploding and then spawning 2 new fireballs.
Yep, that's correct. But it does.
So with chain, the same fireball
is huge.
Hits the enemy, doesn't explode, keeps going, then it explodes when it finally dies.
Correct. Yep, that's the interaction.
And the cool thing is that explosion can hit the enemy that it chained off of.
Ah, yeah, that's interesting.
So
Yeah,
that's
where the
what I was
multi-hitting
hoping
comes in.
to do a little bit with lightning arrow and walls.
But lightning arrow is shit, though.
It is, but if you have 25 of them
Mm.
bouncing around in the same area, and every time it hits the wall, it damages everything around it.
Yeah, yep. We'll have to see how the interaction works.
Not Shaper viable. Shaper doesn't have any walls.
Yeah, there's no walls.
You don't need a powerful skill for Shaper these days.
Could you bring in Writhing Jar in a Shaper fight? Because then it would hit them and then bounce around.
I thought of this. I had another idea for this purpose specifically. So you know how there's a Worm Blaster build that uses Chains of Command and the belt that makes minions use flasks when they get summoned? So you have an animated guardian. The animated guardian kills a worm. This has a 100% chance to spawn an animated weapon that is the animated guardian's weapon. And then you have the belt that makes it so that when that animated weapon spawns, it uses all your flasks at like 50% reduced flask charges. So that uses all your worm flasks. And then the guardian goes and kills those worms, summons more weapons, spawns more worms. So my plan was to give the animated guardian a replica Trypanon. So it had minus 5,000 accuracy rating. So when it summoned animated weapons with replica Trypanon, they themselves could not kill the worms because they have minus 5,000 accuracy rating. So you have an animated guardian with like Infernal Legion or something, and it kills like one worm every second or something, and it just spams worms everywhere. And then I was going to use that for the lightning arrow. But it's really tricky though, because you're going to end up killing the worms with the secondary effect more than it's going to be hitting whatever you're trying to hit.
Can I just say this is the most juices build I've ever heard of?
It's too many interactions.
Yes.
Too much math.
This is my approach. So the way that you figure these things out, right? You just have to memorize everything in the game, like every unique item. And then it's like, well, if I take this item, I know 3 items already that might interact with that. And then I just test it.
My method is, I need a thing that does exactly this, and I Google it and it can't be done, and then I cry.
That was me in the early stages before I knew
everything
in the game.
Jesus.
My approach is to wait until someone crazier than me comes up with something.
I rewatched that Chaos.explosion ignite video about 10 times now, like just trying to figure out how it worked. And then when I figured out how it worked, I'm like, what the hell? I need to, like, my brain was like, should I league start this? Probably not. It's a terrible idea. It's too, like...
It may actually work at league start. We've just got to see exactly how the Elementalist ends up worded in, like, once it's actually finalized in the game. Did you see what we're talking about, Juices, though? Someone put together a build that was using chaos explosions from killed enemies. So the obliteration stat, whether it's sourced from obliteration from the occultist ascendancy or whatever, there's also a cluster jewel that does it. They were using that with Zerfy's Heart and on a build that's scaling Ignite through.
Oh, right. I saw the thumbnail. I didn't actually watch the video, but yeah, using Zerfy's Heart to allow the chaos damage to ignite. And that should... like an infinitely big pack of enemies, assuming you have like ignite proliferation of some kind, that should still just kill everything.
Well, Beric's Respite was like, because EK didn't think of this, he was using the Abrath boots, but Beric's Respite's much better. So I suggested that to him, and then he was like, oh yeah.
How is Beric's better?
25 radius.
But then you don't get the juiciness.
That's the difference between the two.
Stepping into a pack and it automatically killing stuff.
Yeah, you have to manually kill the first one, but that should be no difficulty.
I thought those had the same radius.
What, the rings?
Doesn't say on the item card.
Respite was changed a couple of leagues ago. It was in the patch notes. So the only way I found it is that I was looking at Beric's Respite for some other reason and then saw, oh wow, that's perfect in EK's build.
You can combine that with the new unique Black Flame. I feel like you lose damage doing that maybe, but someone was like, "What can you use Aberras Hooves and Black Flame and Replica Volker's Guidance. And I'm like, you actually don't need Replica Volker's Guidance. It would just work with Black Flame and Aberras.
Yep.
But Blood's got a last league, I think it was 28 million Ignite DPS discharge build, and he's run the math on it again with the new changes to Elementalist. I think he's up to like 48 million Ignite. So I'm like, Blood. I was like, my main reason for like trying to get him on the podcast again, I was like, hey Blood, you want to give me the POB for that Ignite thing, and I'm just gonna have that fucking chaos dot explosion Ignite, and then this 48 million Ignite, and I'm just gonna be like, how can I combine these? Because if I can get an ultimate lazy mode, this is my thing. I don't make builds. I steal them. I steal 3 different really good ones, and I try to combine them into a hybrid bastard. So just like that chaos dot, just the idea of it, fuck.
Okay,
and then
hold
like
on.
the ignites,
I might be able to.
and then like the Aberrats,
Elementalist.
like just the fact that not casting, just running through a map, not casting everything and exploding everything. Sure, I could achieve this with like Herald of Thunder. But it's been done. Like, I already played Herald of Thunder in Harvest League, and you're never going to get as good gear as you had in Harvest League. Maybe this league, I guess, with Maven Orbs. But
all right. All damage with hits can ignite. That includes chaos damage. So you don't need Xerfies. You can just use Elementalist. So that's half the problem right there. So you take his Elementalist discharge build, you give it 2 Obliteration Wands and a Barracks Respite, and you're done.
So just on the obliterations, I think obliteration is the starter version. The later version is megalomaniacs that have the cluster jewel node that gives a 10% chance for chaos explosions.
I'm just a big fan of obliteration because it's 2 alks and you can destroy the entire game.
Yeah, fair. It is definitely the starter gear. I mean, it's usually 10 to 20 chaos on day 1, and it's very well worth it at that point. And then later on, you can get rid of them when you get better stuff, and the better stuff will be megalomaniacs, which will be expensive.
Absolutely.
Just going to check what that node is called again.
I'm definitely not in the POB of the Chaos Ignite build trying to figure out what you were even talking about Barracks Respite. It's on here. The Barracks Respite is in here, but doesn't say anything about radius. Were you saying radius?
Okay, yeah, it doesn't say radius on it. So when it says inflict an equivalent ignite to nearby enemies, or however it's worded, that one has a radius of 25. Aberras Hooves has a smaller radius on that same effect.
Yeah, and the only reason that I know this is from the PoE wiki for Barracks Respite, the entry there, that mentions that there were changes to it from a patch notes quite recently, like maybe in 3.8 or something like that. There's a Chaos Explosion cluster jewel. So it's normally a large Chaos cluster jewel node, so something that you wouldn't normally get, but it can spawn on Megalomaniac.
Huh.
Yeah, I remember I spent so much currency crafting a jewel that had that on it, as well as the other 2 things that I wanted, because it's such a low weight for that node specifically. It may actually be easier to get it on a Megalomaniac.
Megalomaniac, I believe, and I'm not sure of this, I believe Megalomaniac respects the drop weightings. So if that's correct,
yeah, that's something that you wouldn't really be able to confirm.
Might do some sort of analysis of that this league, like with Megalomaniacs that come onto the market. Just pick one of the really low weightings, like Unspeakable Gifts, and one of the really high weightings, and compare them. But the thing that I really like is the prospect of an Elementalist using Sadist and stacking a lot of copies of Sadist, which is not that rare a node. That's the one that gives you 15%. I think it's 15% LE damage if you've chilled recently, 20% if you've additional 20 if you've ignited recently, additional 25 if you've shocked recently. Not sure what the 15, 20, and 25 each are, but together it's 60%. And with the new Elementalist, you can reliably hit all 3 of those. Or you could use Xerfi's Heart, but then the thing is that the Chaos Explosions aren't going to be scaled by Sadist because it's elemental damage. It's not universal damage.
That and the Elementalist actually just straight up gives 100% chance. I don't think Xerfi's does that.
Yeah, no, Xerfi's doesn't. You've got to find a way. You can either cause your Chaos Explosions to crit, which is very difficult, or you can try to, like that generally requires shimmer on and charge stacking or things like that. Or you can just source a lot of ignite chance from other sources, which is hard as well.
Is the chance to explode additive on obliteration, so it's 40%?
Yes, so it's 40% if you use 2.
Right. So you'd want to use like 4 megalomaniacs to get the same, more or less, without obliteration.
Yeah, from my extensive playtesting, 40% is, in the vast majority of cases, enough to proliferate through big packs.
Yep. Yeah, 40% for big packs, and like 30% may be enough as well. The other factor is that a cultist is being buffed to 40% on its own, so...
Just play a cultist, but then you don't get any of the elementalist stuff that you need. But in general, that node on a cultist, very good. Unless you're playing
there's a lot of choices. I'm really keen to see what the Scion's elementalist node is too.
Oh yes, that, depending on what they pick, could be very, very powerful. Like if all they pick is the like the elemental, like the damage shield, the primal aegis, whatever it's called.
Immune to elemental
primal
damage.
aegis. It's basically like its own little energy shield.
Oh yeah.
Is that for physical damage?
If you get that on Scion, then you just take that node and then whatever else Scion has.
I saw the other builds by EK. I was like, if they've got these, they might have some other interesting things. And I went back and looked, and I'd already like the little red YouTube bar was already there. Like I'd already watched half of them already. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember looking at this at all. So I go click on it again. And he's got a dancing dervish one. A week ago, I was like Googling every single type of dancing dervish build available to try and find one that actually worked. I saw his. His is like, what is that? What's the big fat lady called? Deodre? Dodre skin or something with curses in it, like 6 different curses, and you slam down the totem and it curses everything. How? Brain, let me think. 1 sec. Do curses work in POB? Like a ticket and nothing happens to my DPS.
For minions?
For you, for anything.
For you, yes. You have to obey the curse limit though. So if you put 5 things in that chest and then tick all 5 of them, it'll only count 1 of them.
Oh.
You have to like artificially give yourself.
Right.
You can apply an additional curse. Just put that on like 5 pieces of gear, or maybe you.
I'm just gonna write that down.
Put the number 5 in or something.
I appreciate it. Fuck, man, I'm so dumb.
You also, does it affect like the effectiveness of it? Hold on, is it Doedri's skin?
I think it's like 25% less.
Yeah, Doedri's skin. Yeah, it doesn't affect the effectiveness of it at all, I think. No, it has 25% reduced effect of supported curses.
Yep.
When you summon the effigy.
It counteracts it with like rings, I think the build did. I'm not sure though.
Right.
Let me check. Replica Dodre's damning, 40% increased effective curses. But then it says you can apply 1 fewer curses, but then the body armor is just like curse, like amounts that you can apply doesn't matter. Limit. Yeah. God damn. Some people are so smart. What the hell? Especially with all those heist variants. Ugh.
Yeah, there's so many items to track with heist that it is like, and so many of them are interesting as well.
Yeah, there's so many good ones, and I feel bad because this was the perfect lead to go on like build video this week, and then I was like, nah, I have 1 good build, and I'm gonna make 1 good video.
Yeah.
Do you reckon
I was too busy this league?
Do you reckon items are gonna become harder to get because of heist changes? Like, I really, really, really want to play with 1 to 2 items from heist, but I don't want to play heist, and heist is, as far as I know, already gone. So
okay, so the ones that give replica uniques, the really cool ones that tended to be like 1 alch, you could get like 2 or 3 of them in the same heist. So like the ones that were common in heist are also probably going to be common. Now the chase ones, the ones like replica, the synthesis one.
I got nothing.
You think Nebulous.
Oh yeah.
Nebulous. Replica Nebulous. That one is going to be very expensive. The ones that I used, very cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and even the sort of middle tier rarity stuff like Replica Calm's Heart that has its uses, or Replica Atzuri's Acuity and the like, they'll be somewhat accessible. Like, yeah, you know, maybe they'll end up at 5x where they were 1x in Heist.
Yeah, if it's not used in a meta build, even if it's very rare, it's still going to be affordable.
Or that can sometimes not be the case. Like, sometimes you can see...
There are some cases.
Well, I mean, obviously, Replica Beta Breath being the extreme example of that. But Replica Headhunter is a really bad alternative to Headhunter. And, you know, it's sort of more at the inspired learning level of power. And it still ended up expensive at the end of the league.
That was end of the league, things going into standard. People want their one version of a Headhunter.
Yeah, quite possible.
Skin transfer a replica onto a real one, Galaxy Brain.
I removed 5 minutes of us talking about how time zones work. Sure. I'm stealing something you said from your most recent video, Gog, except 100% butchering it and saying it in a completely different way. How much money is it going to cost if you want to make a top tier rare item using Maven Orbs and what's the one from Cyrus called? Awaken Orbs. Like, you awaken... You get something with 2 things on it. Oh my god, I'm so shit. You get something with 2 influences on it, 2 T1s. You put a Maven Orb on it to get that one of those to a higher tier 1. It's either the one you want or the one you don't want. Then you put that aside and get another thing you want with T1. And then you can Awaken Orb those 2 T1s together. When I read the part that said you can Awaken Orb the 2 T1s together to make a mega item, my brain exploded.
So you're looking at setting up an item that has the single perfect Maven influence item on it that is then prepared for purposes of an Awaken Orb is going to, on average, cost you 2 Maven Orbs, because 50% of the time you're going to hit the wrong one, 50% you're going to hit the right one. So setting up each half, like you think currently, if you're wanting to merge the Crusader Exploding mod on a chest with the Hunter +1 Curse mod, just to take a popular choice there, the Crusader Exploding mod takes about 4,000 alterations. And the Hunter Curse mod, I believe, takes about 400 alterations. So you're looking at 4,400 alts plus 1 Awaken Orb. What you're looking at now, that's all doubled, not the Awaken Orb, because you're going to make 2 Explodey chests and 2 of the Hunter +1 Curse chests. Then each of those you're going to Maven them and have a 50-50 chance of hitting it. So on average, it's going to take 2. So you're looking at requiring, to get your setup, 8,000 alts and 2 Maven Orbs to hit upgraded Explodey chest, and 800 alts and 2 Maven Orbs to hit the upgraded +1 curse. Then it's just 1 single Awaken Orb.
Now, there is one additional cost to that you may not have considered. So you're getting your Explodey chests and you're using the Maven Orbs on them to try to upgrade Explodey mod. You need a second influence mod. So if you AUG and Regal and you don't get an influence mod, you may have to slam.
Or potentially, depending
Harvest.
on the situation with Harvest, you may be able to craft a random influence mod with that, because you don't actually care what the influence mod is.
I was going to say, you could, once you've got your high tier Maven, your 2 bases for high tier Maven, and then you awaken them together and get absolutely garbage, I was like, then you cry yourself to sleep. But I completely forgot that Harvest is a thing. And you can still probably save something once you combine it and get absolutely shit on.
Hard to say, but like ultimately that's the part of the balance around the Awaken Orb. It's an item that is designed to make 2 perfect mods, but the remaining 4 there's a huge variance on. That's always been the Awaken Orb. It's like, just like an Alteration Orb is designed to get you 1 perfect mod through extensive use of it, the Awakener's Orb gets you 2.
Have either of you played... Sorry, go ahead.
Think of a chest that has nearby enemies explode when you kill them, but it's 5% instead of 3%, and you get 2 additional curses instead of 1 additional curse. It doesn't matter what the other 4 mods are. That is already more powerful than any unique chest that you can slap in that slot.
Yeah, by that point, you're either min-maxing to try and make a mirror item, or you're making your best in slot, like body armor or something like that. And you've already accepted the fact that you might not get 70 life on it.
I think what we're going to see is there's going to be more variation between a 3 exalt item, i.e. an Awakener Orb merge that didn't hit very good other mods. Then there's, then you have your sort of 30 exalt items, which are where you've got an Awakener Orb merge that did hit other good slots. Now there's going to be more different variants in there. Like you could have at 50 exalts would be a Maven Orb monstrosity that's hit sort of a bit okay. And then at like 500 exalts will be when you've hit quite a bit harder with the Maven Orbs. Not necessarily Meritier, but still something that's pretty incredible.
Do you only ever play like one builder league? Like this feels like it's for the end game, sure, but I never get to the point with a character where I'm even wanting to awaken orb something. I'm always playing something new and never really min-maxing. Do you like min-max one build? I'm not talking to Jousis.
Varies. I tend to I hit a point where I don't see much point advancing a character further. And that's when I feel like I'm strong enough to beat all of the content that doesn't require a lot of fucking around to get to.
Fair enough. Fuck, man. Do you have any other interactions or anything you want to talk about? Like, you can't honestly just have the one. I mean, Jousis is a walking bloody meme lord abomination. I could talk to him for 7 hours about what he's going to do when there's 17 6 links available in PoE2 and how he's going to take out a server.
Oh boy.
It's going to be crazy.
Oh boy. They'll just make cast when damage taken limited to like 4 or something. There's no way they give you a 6 link cast when damage taken. They'll have to. Or put it on a 3 link or something.
I'm going to put a 6 link cast and damage taken in every slot.
Yeah, I know you are. How are you going to self damage though?
The Eye of Innocence? I don't know.
Man.
That was a chance for you to go into your normal.
Yeah, it's just deep voice.
Oh, yeah.
Greetings, Exile.
Well, you see.
Just a segue. Here's my plan.
Abra's hooves, Eye of Innocence, walk around. Boom.
Boom. Fuck, man.
So the other thing I'm keen to see what you can do with is the Elementalist and Asylum and Elemental Hit. So Asylum is the Delirium unique helmet that has Snipe. So that can turn any non-channeled bow skill into a channeled skill. And basically lets you get, I think it's plus 720% damage with ailments. So maybe it is just 720% damage with ailments.
I have the wiki up.
Quick Google shit.
So that is going to do some absolutely spectacular single target damage, I think, especially given that all of your damage is chilling, all your damage is shocking, all your damage is igniting. So you're going to always have, because elemental hit scales so much off the number of ailments currently afflicting an enemy.
Yeah. Now, would that translate to ignite damage?
That's a good question. I need to check whether it counts.
Yeah, let me look at it.
Ignite's the big boy because it's the only elemental thing that gives you damage over time, right? There's no
It says more damage per elemental element on the enemy, so depending on how that works, it may affect the ignite that it inflicts.
Yeah, I think that sounds like it does. More damage. It doesn't say more damage with hits.
It just says more damage, so it would affect ignite. There's precedence for it.
And then you've got Asylum is providing you with lots of Asylum is providing you with just a monumental big hit. Your difficulty is that you're going to need your final charged up shot. Well, it's going to deal 20% more damage. I think it's 20% more damage from the new Elementalist if it chooses fire. But I think you're probably going to want to run this without
25.
It's 25% more. I don't know whether you would run the 2 combat focused duels or not. I think you probably would.
Depending on whether or not you take the nodes that make it so all your damage with hits can chill and all your damage with hits can shock. So if you take those 2, you can run combat focus and always use fire. If you don't take those 2, then you don't run the combat focus.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then what else have we got in the ascendancy? So you would probably take elemental reflect immunity as your other ones. So option 1 is take all 3 conflux nodes. I don't know if they're called conflux, but they're reasonably similar to the current conflux effects. And then you would take the anti-reflect node. Alternately, I guess you would take the fire, the the fire side, the alley reflex side, and the probably the 2 golem ones. And do golems scale up your damage with ignite?
It's just generic damage, isn't it? So it would. I'd
It's
assume it would.
universal
Yeah,
damage.
25% increased damage. That should affect damage over time.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a couple of thoughts that I had as to, like I had them simultaneously with seeing them on Reddit. Like I'd sort of already been thinking about that and then saw people are talking about it on Reddit as well.
How many different golems are there? Is it 25 per
5,
unique
6?
golem or 25% per golem?
No, it says per summoned golem.
Like a golem build. Golem ignite build.
Yeah,
Golem
and you
ignite
could use like a
chaos
whole
damage.
suite of them because all the golems are sort of useful anyway. You'd be wanting to go crit, and so that means that the ice golem's effects are significant, especially given that you'd be scaling them so high with all of the other golem nodes there.
Now, that said, the unique buff granted by each golem does not stack, so you can't have like 5 flame golems for 5 instances of 20% increased damage.
Correct.
So generally, golem builds will have one of each just to get all of the buffs.
That's what I meant. You would go one of each.
And there's 5 golems, 4 blades.
Carrion we're not counting, so
That
5,
doesn't
I
count?
guess.
Oh. All right,
So
chaos golem. I completely
Lightning,
forgot.
fire, ice, chaos. I'm
Right.
missing one.
By our powers combined. Stone. I win. I'm better than you. I can get it in
Yes.
writing.
Regen golem.
Right.
Fuck yeah.
And the stone golem's huge defensively as well. Like, and so is the chaos for that matter. Once you start scaling that effect on them.
Okay. Sideball, chaos, incarnate, roll on the die. If you had a... Can you use a shield with a claw?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, fuck yeah. Do you have any, like, recommendations? This is for me, not for anyone else. Do you have any recommendations for, like, a shield I can use with a poison build? Because I have a free slot. I am using a claw on one hand, and I have a free slot open. Literally anything that works with a claw. Just anything interesting for poisons, do you know of? Can you use a dagger with a claw?
Phase acro or not?
Shit, man, I don't even know. I think I'm using phase acro, yeah.
If you're phase acro, I would consider Mistwall. At least consider.
Very good defensively, yes.
I am phase acro. Let me Google Mistwall real quick.
Conqueror drop. It's basically, unless you've been hit in the last 4 seconds, you have 75% block from memory.
Oh, there's a replica version as well.
It actually just says you have maximum.
That's right.
Maximum block chance if you have not blocked recently. And then, what is the replica?
So think
one
of it
do?
as being a ghost shroud that's on.
So
steroids.
that's just like, if I haven't blocked anything recently, and I've been dodging everything, and then something hits me and it gets through my dodge, I can just guarantee block it, or it's just maximum chance to block it.
75% base.
Damn, that's pretty.
You
sexy.
can boost it up to like 83, 84, but 75 generally. It's like no investment into block. You put this thing on when you have a lot of dodge. Huge defensive layer.
What about damage? Can you think of anything for damage? Because as it is,
Esh.
I think
Esh is Visage.
Visage.
Oh yeah. If you've killed a bunch of stuff recently, you get a ton of flat lightning damage.
Flat lightning damage.
What damage skill are you using?
It's a spell.
You haven't decided.
No, I have decided. I just don't want to tell you because it's embarrassing.
Okay, so it's a spell and you're scaling poison damage?
Yeah, it's a poison spell.
Binos.
Alright.
Assuming you're not a Pathfinder.
Bino.
Yeah, yep.
But, okay, what about instead of poison spread, I just need damage? Like, isn't Binos just for clear? Let's say I've got my clear covered, but I need to kill a boss.
You need a weapon that goes with a claw, but you're poisoning with a spell.
Yeah, and it needs to have boss damage.
You may need a scepter with chaos damage multi on it. So that's like a harvest rare craft.
Yeah, chaos dot multi and +1 to the level of physical spells or whatever.
Oh yeah, the +1 won't work. Because it's not a spell gem, but it is a spell.
You're using your tornadoes again.
Hey, now you don't have to get into specifics.
Dude, there was I think it's in one of my videos actually. We were messing around in Sarn Arena. Someone had a poison tornado build.
Oh, I don't know.
Was destroying everyone.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, there's no such thing. No such thing exists.
Actually, the best in slot for that build, I think, is the Disintegrator.
Yeah, but didn't they say that Disintegrator and Martyr of Innocence is getting a tap?
They changed it. So it's basically going to give you the keystone that has the flat damage that it already had on it. So the
like
keystone that it gives
spells.
you added damage to spells based on the damage of the weapon.
Yeah.
So if Disintegrator still has like 400 Fizz DPS, it's going to add that to the spells.
You can appreciate how I found a different way to do something that's not using a Disintegrator, so I'm making it shitter but making it better at the same time.
Yes,
I can appreciate that. I'm getting rid of Disintegrator and making it very much worse, but like very much server crashy at the same time.
Oh yes.
Have
you considered alternate quality haste?
I have. It's almost like that's exactly what it was. Damn it. So yeah, that's it.
Because someone else came to me with the same idea.
Oh boy.
Like, here's my tornado build. It has like 20 tornadoes per second.
Mine's got 45. Suck on it. No, I don't know if at some point you're eventually capped out. I know Volatile Dead is eventually capped out by server tick rate. You can only spawn a certain amount of balls based on the server.
60.
I know you can. There's a max of 60. There's a max of 60. That's just for how many balls can exist. But there's like a specific rate if you were using like Poet's Pens or Spellslinger or something like that. That even if you got your cast speed higher, it wouldn't cast more because there's like a server tick rate or something. I don't know.
So you are considering Elder Swords, right?
What's that?
You are considering Beltimber Blade and the other one?
Nope. I have no idea what... let's grill.
More projectiles.
+2 projectiles if you've been hit recently on one of them, and +2 projectiles if you've used a move skill recently on the other.
Skills fire 2 additional projectiles. I don't think that works on Volatile Dead.
It's not for Volatile Dead, though. It's for tornadoes. But
it's for tornadoes.
What was
the
one that
work on tornadoes?
What was the one that wasn't Grow with Shank?
It'll be linked in the vendor recipe section there.
Can multiple tornadoes from the same spell do damage to the same target?
Yes. I don't know. I assume it works
I'm pretty
fine.
sure they can, because you're spawning a projectile and it's like doing continuous damage around it.
It's like its own little cyclone, so it's just doing constant hits in its own AoE.
Yeah, so like if somehow all of your tornadoes went in the same direction, it would do a lot more
I
damage.
think it would work, yeah.
Right, so yeah, stacking projectiles is actually very good in that scenario.
I think Jim's just looking for server crashing ability, right?
No, I'm not. I'm actually making a build, maybe.
Is it gonna have chance to flee on it?
Yes. Stop profiling me, Juice.
Stop being so fishy.
Jousis. I've figured.
I'm also going to run chance to flee on my leak starters.
Should I tell you about my other thing I'm gonna do then? I have a theory that I've looked around, and a couple other people have had the same theory, but I'm not telling them that I'm gonna do it as well. So I'll tell you about it later. I'll tell you about it now.
If you have an idea and you would like to develop it, I am open to
It's not so much developing. It's pseudoscience. It's pseudoscience. It's not a thing. It's like the same way that people found out that fleeing could have been a thing, and then they tested it, and then it was. I found a thing that could be a thing. I'm being very generic. I found a thing that could be a thing, but it probably isn't, but I'm going to run it just to be sure, you know? What's that?
The problem then is when you get it, you can't eliminate that possibility.
Yes, I can, because it's a very rare drop. Probably rarer than Angler's Plate at this point.
Alright.
Have I said it? I heard the normal people when they get normal Australians, when they get excited or they're asking a question, the end of their sentence gets higher. You're like the opposite, it gets lower. You got intrigued just then and your deep voice kicked in at the very last moment of your sentence. Alright. I can't do it because I'm Australian. No, it's that I've really wanted to make a build with that body armor that makes it so magic items drop identified.
Oh, Cloak of Tower Emily or whatever.
It's got very strict drop restrictions, apart from things that just spit out uniques, like that Coward's Trial and the guy from Betrayal.
Yeah, Elrond.
Elrond, yeah.
Safe houses.
They're like the only places that people have been getting them, but it apparently does drop from other places, but No one knows. That's the...
Probably Katarina's safe house.
I mean, you get
Item acquisition.
mechanics
The
like
method
that.
is a secret waiting to be discovered.
There you
That's
go,
what it says
baby.
on the wiki.
You want to subscribe to my conspiracy theory?
All right. So have you found any confirmed drops and you analyzed their build?
No, I'm just balls to the walls trying my own method.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Do you want... Oh, I have. There was one... It is based on... I'm not just guessing. It is based on one person saying they got it from this, and this is what happened to them. And some other person came in. I think it was the poor fishing wife came in and was like, I'm going to analyze the fuck out of this situation and spat out every possible result. And I'm like, it's probably that one, and that's the one I've picked. And it could be all the other hundreds that we've missed as well.
Poor Fishwife is one of the funniest people in the Path of Exile community.
Did you play?
She's hilarious.
Did you play her what was it? Choose Your Own Adventure game?
I need to get to that.
It goes for like an hour. It's drastic. It's got a bigger story than Cyberpunk.
Oh wow.
And it's got puzzles. Like, don't even get me started on puzzles. I quit. I want a different path.
Okay.
Speaking of
like,
Choose Your Own Adventures,
go ahead.
Did you do this? The Lord's Labyrinth book
No,
from the last.
I'm not rich.
packs?
I don't have it. Oh. Is
It's
it good?
actually really well written.
Oh fuck. Did you win? Are you the emperor? Is that how it works? No
Well, let's
spoilers?
just say that there are degrees of winning. I'm
Oh,
aware of what the best ending is, and I have not got it.
what a pity. Do you cheat in those books like all good children? Like you hold your thumb in the page and just in case you
Of
die, you go
course.
back? Why would you do that?
I'm old enough to have been a kid when Choose Your Own Adventure books were a thing. Of course I'd do that.
That was a Goosebumps one. That's the only one I ever read. Choose Your Own Adventure Goosebumps. Oh,
Yeah, they were sort of dying out by the end of the 90s.
right. You're really old.
It's scary to think I'm 40 next year.
What? I thought you were like 30. What the hell? Oh, wait, you are 30. Man, that's why I failed maths.
I mean, it's still a few weeks to my birthday this year, but that was a scary thought. It's like, oh, yeah, 2022, I'm going to be turning 40 in that year.
It doesn't matter.
Like I say, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
you never will. It's kind of spooky. There's definitely a phenomenon or a name for it when you realize that your parents had no idea what they were doing when they had you because you just hit that age and you have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
I think it was a Vsauce
The
video
thing I
about it.
find funniest is when you're catching up with friends that are much younger than you. And you're like, gee, you're way more mature than I am.
Oh yeah.
It's like having, like, before the pandemic, is would often head to karaoke bar with some mates that they were 25 and 26 at the time, and they're like, oh, yep, I had to go. It's like it's midnight. I'm like, what? There's like at least 3 hours until the place shuts, and even then, I'm going to be annoyed that they're shutting.
I just realized that my like cousins, who were the tiniest humans in the world when I was like a teenager, they're now like what I would consider an adult, and I'm still not what I would consider an adult. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? You don't see them for like 8 months, and then suddenly they've got jobs and cars, and they're doing adult stuff. Like they used to bully me when they were children. Now they're like respectable. A bunch of bastards.
Yeah, I have an older cousin who has a daughter that was that sort of thing. That's like quite a bit younger than me. Danny would be 24 now or so. But I remember seeing her, like, I would only see her at the family Christmas, and she was one of those girls that was really tall, really young.
Mm.
So, like, I remember she was taller than me when she was 10. And then she hit her adult height at 11, which is 6'1". So she's not towering over me, but she's noticeably taller than me.
At 11?
But at 11. And so it was just absolutely crazy. Like, you've got this kid that was like a baby 1 year, and then a couple of years later is like then you go through the toddler phase, then the primary school kid phase, and then suddenly they're like, oh my God, you're taller than me.
I keep derailing into discussions of politics and debit cards, so I cut all that out for you. Wait. We did how many? We did like 20 minutes of off topic, and then we're like, let's talk about ritual. I said lay by, and now we're talking about politics. It's great. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Ritual. You can lay by items. You can. What's the word again?
You can lay by green
Defer.
items.
Refer. You can refer. You can
Defer.
defer. You can defer items for 20% of their value, I think. So does that mean if you're in a high tier map, I mean, you don't have the answers, I know, but let's talk about it. Does that mean if you're in a high tier map and a headhunter shows up, you can't get it in that map no matter how hard you try? You won't have enough ritual, do you think? And you'd have to defer it multiple times and keep doing high tier content and keep deferring it?
Described how you can like store the currency and defer items. I don't think it's possible to have an item that is so incredibly expensive that you can't get it within its deferment period.
Yep, that's what I think.
So you could get, if you got a headhunter, you'd be able to get it in that one map without deferring it, if you got all the way to the last ritual.
No, you would probably still have to defer it unless you had really high quant or something.
So if you did T16, and this is a terrible scenario and it won't happen to anyone, it's highly theoretical. If you did a T16 and you got a headhunter in it and you deferred it, and then you did a T2, and then a T2 has 10 times less ritual points than a T16, you won't be able to defer it even if you get to the end of your T2, because it'd be a 20% of the cost of the headhunter in the ritual, not 20% of what you earned in the map. Does that make sense?
I feel there's a way to do what you're describing deliberately, but in normal gameplay, the odds of that happening by accident are very low.
I also saw somewhere it was like, it's not just deferring it for once, it might last. It was
you can defer it for several times. It's like when you can no longer meet the cost of deferring it is when you can't defer it anymore.
But you can defer it down 20% and then another 20%, and let's say you defer it 5 times. You don't get it immediately because it's still going to cost something. But if you deferred it 5 times, you could then run 5 maps, ignore the ritual content, and it would tick up another 20% and tick up another 20% and tick up another 20%.
We'll have to just work this out with when we actually experiment with it in the game. But I think it's going to be the case that if you get a headhunter appearing there, you're just going to lay by it, and then the next map you'll run all of your higher tier content that you've got left, and just keep lay buying it again and again until you can eventually buy it.
Because it's no longer a trade is the like blocking factor. Like if Kadira offered you an exalt, all you had to do was do the math on how much he wanted for it and the math on how much the coins cost and go, I've got 3C, I can do this kind of thing. Now there's an exalt in here and I physically can't clear this map. You're going to have to summon in boys to help you as opposed to just going to trade and buying some coins. It's like a skill check more than a
scenario.
Trading. What do you mean?
I mean, when you're doing a map and it's like, oh, I'm not powerful enough to clear the ritual content in order to get enough currency for this headhunter, I don't think the ritual content is significantly more difficult than the map that you're in.
That's fair.
See, I got the sense that look, I could be wrong on this, but the sense
I thought it scaled
would be Legion tier difficulty, and it's quite common at League start that you'll be running, your first tier 12 of the map, and you'll be like, oh, there's a Legion. Even though you're softcore, you're still going to say, I cannot beat that in any useful sense.
It won't stop you from breaking open everything and then complaining when it murders you.
Yeah,
I have the opposite problem where I do the Legion and then I kill like 4 things. And then like I can only break like 4 things out.
So let's take a different example. Let's say it's a breach instead, because a breach is something you win or you lose quickly. At League start, particularly during Breach League itself, I definitely had times that I failed breaches decisively because I was like, I just wasn't powerful enough to deal with it. I was fine for killing the map boss, but the breach was a couple of tiers harder than the content. You also get the same with blights. That blights often can be like 3 delirium rolls harder than the content itself of the rest of the map, and you're like, oh, I'm just failing these blights. I reckon that there's going to be a bit of an incentive from the ritual content to spend a little bit longer in yellow maps than you normally would, because most people, at least veteran players, blitz through yellow maps nowadays.
Didn't they say
the impression that I got from watching the video of Ritual is that like clicking on the Ritual thing is like opening a strongbox that says revives nearby enemies with Onslaught.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kill everything. And so it's like an extremely like we said, it's Parandis 2.0. Parandis, it's like there's a stream of monsters
Mm-hmm.
near the chest. This is instant. So you,
Yeah,
you
and
go click on
also
the
there's
thing,
the
you have
arena.
a build that Vol Ice Novas everything, and then you collect it.
Didn't they say it gets increasingly difficult the more rituals are in the map, though? So the first one is like map tier, the second one's like a little bit harder, like Legion tier, the next one along is like a little bit harder, and then the last one, assuming there's 4, because it can go up to 4, I think, wouldn't that be like boss tier or something? I assume you're gonna have difficulty. I mean, I hope.
Right.
I bet
So
there better be
assume
difficulty.
There's a scenario where you can't do the last one because it's too difficult. You
Yeah.
can go back to the previous ones that you have done
And spend your
click
points.
defer there.
I would hope. I mean, maybe. Maybe not.
I mean, he also very suggested that the odds of getting something that expensive in your ritual menu are extremely, extremely low.
It's when they show off the really valuable item and they're like, check out this amazing thing that's in the league, and then you never see it because it's so rare. But they need to show you it's there, so it's like, here's what you could get. 4x, you're not even going to see the 4x.
Yeah, and there'll be things that are that rare. Like that's part of Puppet XL for you.
What I really like is that this removes trading for Parandis coins out of the equation.
Yes.
And picking them up. It's all just automatic.
And picking them up.
How am I going to feel the weight of these tribute points if I can't pick them up physically myself? I'll never appreciate the value of the item that I'm getting.
So
yeah,
I want to defend Chris with what he said there, if you'll allow me.
Go for it.
So when he said we want people to feel the weight of items, I think he was referring more to like two-handed swords taking up 8 squares, and then that fills your inventory, and then you have to go put it in your stash, and that has a limited space. He never said that in the context
he did
of
say
picking up individual Parandis coins.
He didn't say it in the context of Parandis coins. He did say it in the context of wisdom scrolls.
Yeah, wisdom scrolls. That's an interesting scenario, but you don't have to pick up every wisdom
Did you
scroll.
see the recommendation?
You feel like you're forced to.
Did you see the recommendation on Reddit that someone said, and I can't quote their name because I don't read names. Everyone does that. He's like, you know what would make this better? Putting like a betrayal type timer in the little bottom right hand corner of the ritual pop up. So you have like 5 seconds to pick and pay before you leave, and then it just deletes everything.
Thanks.
What do you mean? That's a great idea. Game design lets you appreciate the weight.
The timer is the fact that I'm not doing something else, and there's an opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And can I just say, if we're going to talk about annoying things to pick up, splinters.
Yeah.
Fuck splinters. Fuck everyone that put them in the game. Like, fuck those things.
You mean Breach or all of them?
Breach, Legion, Simulacrum's a bit better because there's
300. Oh, okay.
If there was 100 with the drop rate of Simulacrum Splinters, like the economy would be even worse than it was during Delirium.
Oh yeah. But like they should just if they drop if they reduce the drop rate by 90% on all splinters and had them drop as stacks of 1d20, so be basically the same amount dropping, but they'd be dropping clustered. So you'd be like, you'd drive Zoth off in a map, and instead of getting 10 individual splinters, you might get 1 pile of 9.
Or 1 pile of 1.
Or 1 pile of 1 sometimes.
But it has to play a sound that it rolled a D1.
2 piles of 13.
There is a technical detail that prevents something like that, and it's actually party play. Because if 2 people kill the Zoth and it drops 1 stack of 9, 1 person is getting that 1 stack of 9. It needs to drop them individually, so it can say, okay, 4 go to this guy and 5 go to this guy. Now, if you're talking about unilaterally over all breaches, lower the drop chance to 10% of what it was and then multiply it by 10, that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing is that is the way that loot is split in this game, and there's much bigger items that drop than a stack of 17 Zoth splinters. Like, if Jim and I are mapping together and an Exalt drops, that's going to drop for one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we may decide that we're splitting anything. Like I tend to, if I'm forming a group with people, I tend to work on a basis of Exalt and down belongs to the person that it drops for. 1.1 Exalt and up is split between the group. Like that's what I would suggest as a split. But that's that's
honor system.
Yeah,
did you hear Chris say in the live stream? He's like, if you guys are bad at sharing, I recommend alternating who opens the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. Like they're actually thinking about group play in terms of groups that are good at sharing and groups that are bad at sharing. They have to account for people that are scummy.
Or they had the option to program it in to make it accessible for party play. It was too much effort, and they said, fuck them, we'll just throw like a curveball. We'll just say, it's raycast, you know, no quality life here
That
because it
is
was
the
too
thing
hard
that
for us to
happens.
code, and so don't do
It
party
means,
play.
It means though that like if you compare two different systems from about the same era of the game, you have Abyss and the way that Abyssal Liches spawn, and you have Breach Lords and the way that they spawn. I much prefer the Abyss system, where it's like, oh, okay, this league I don't see Ulaman at all just because I get unlucky. I don't care. I don't have to deal with splinters.
You don't care about breaches anymore because so much extra new content that comes along just drops the whole full stone. Like, you don't
Which
even need
fixes
to
the
have them
problem
on your
with
filter
breaches.
anymore.
Doesn't fix the
It's a
problem.
band-aid, but it fixes it.
It does, but it doesn't for Legions.
Would you prefer if there were no splinters at all and the breach encounter where you actually encounter the breach lord in the map, that was the breach boss and it dropped
No,
all the blessings
because
from there?
Cheola would kick my ass.
Well, okay, other than Cheola. Well, Cheola spawns anyway. It's just the loot would be, instead of 10 Cheola splinters, it would be
The item,
the loot
a
from the
1 in 4
Cheola.
chance, yeah. I mean, that would be cool. It already has that, though. Technically speaking, you could just eliminate breach stones from existence, eliminate the splinters from existence, and buff the boss drops of the boss occasionally
that's
showing
what I
up
was
in the
saying.
breach.
Would you prefer that?
No, because sewer and shit like that, you're going to get a boss on the other side of a wall, and you won't be able to get to it in 3 minutes.
Doesn't work well in. And also, I like having unique maps, and that's what a breach stone is. It's a unique map.
True. It would get rid of that unique map.
I am 100% happy.
It'd also kill breachstone farming.
I'm glad that they
would be
don't
fine, but
make
that's
anything.
because pure breach stones are overtuned reward-wise.
I'm glad that they don't make anything good for party play, because I don't want it to go to the meta of, there's a guy in my guild, Discord, whatever, who wants a game mode, a party mode that is leader only, gets everything, because it's my maps and they're just there to juice me and it's my quant and I'll split it up for them if they get anything good. He doesn't like, he's running like towers really juiced and bringing in complete randoms, and occasionally they steal his nurse cards and I laugh at him. And he's going, there needs to be support for party play where I'm a slave owner, is basically what he's saying. I love the fact that that's not a thing. I love the fact that they're not building something specifically with party built shit in mind, because I hate the idea that the best way, well, it's not the best way, the juiciest way to play the game, and I'm not saying your name, sorry, the bestest way to play the game is in a Empyrean style 6-man party, magic find, boss killer, carries, all that shit, and then split it up amongst yourselves. It should be designed the way they designed it, which is fuck hardcore players. The way they design it, treat it like it's softcore and one person doing it, and build it for that, and everyone else can adapt. Fuck party play. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Party play is the best way to play the game, at least at league start.
Yeah.
That goes without question. And that's going to remain the case for as long as Aurabots are viable and as long as Cursebots are viable.
And they'll continue surviving.
I must point out that his idea for a party system where only the leader gets the loot is just inefficient. Even if you are being like a slave owner and through the other 5 people, it's inefficient.
You can go to his forum post and tell him it's inefficient. The more public figures that go there and tell him he's stupid, I'm supporting of that. I'll link it to you if you want. I don't know where it is.
All right.
I mean, what I would like to see as a party loot setting is medium allocation. So it's like it allocates items randomly as per permanent allocation, but it gives you 20 seconds to pick up the loot, after which it becomes free for all. And also, I would like anything that is hidden by my loot filter that drops to me becomes free for all as well. That would be
that's harder.
That is a lot harder.
You could have.
It's that involves client to server to client.
It doesn't need to be instantly,
unless you use the subscribe system of loot filters, where you subscribe on your on the website.
That's a huge pain, but it's doable.
But and they wouldn't do it.
That you put a dev on for like 3 weeks.
And then they cry because they can't get it working because they can't figure out how to put a server browser in their thing, let alone. Is it CSS or is it Lua? How do filters work? I should ask Neversink. He's a god gamer.
It reminded me of CSS, but I never actually learned what it is.
Just their own custom thing, like an ini file or something like that?
It's probably a custom. Proprietary would mean that they're protecting it somehow.
Proprietary would mean us fucking with it is bad. Have you read their terms of service or their website and stuff like that? A lot of it is don't fuck with the website in any way, which is the only reason they ever up banning people that use third-party tools is because the third-party tools are DDoSing the website. They have a couple of rules about, the game, don't fuck with the game, but then there's like 15,000 rules about don't fuck with the website, and if you fuck with one of those, they're going to take you out.
Oh yes, because messing with the website costs them uptime.
It's their store and
cost.
stuff.
Like it's money.
Yeah.
If you're messing with the game, it's less money for them to deal with.
I got IP banned once. Don't know how. To be fair, the week before I did scrape the Wikipedia and download the entire thing because it's public and I read their terms of service and they said I can if I want to, so I did. But then a week later I got IP banned and I didn't notice because getting IP banned doesn't mean you're banned from the game, it just means you're banned from the API of the website. So I log in and the news things were blank, so I didn't, there was like when you log in, the little news, what's the latest things, they were blank because they load from the website. And I logged in and I'm like, no one's messaging me for items. Like, no one wants to buy my shit. What happened? Have I been trade banned? And I log onto the trade website and the trade website doesn't work. I'm like, oh, the API must be down. I played like 2 weeks at the beginning of a league without trade because I thought the API was just getting hammered. Turns out I was IP banned. Message support, they're like, yeah, our server said you did something fishy at like 3 a.m. And I looked at my computer like runtime and I'm like, my computer was turned off at 3 a.m. I don't know what happened. Turns out my ISP shares my IP address with 50,000 other people on the service, whatever that VNAT, something like that. So I'm just like, yeah, I can't. My IP is the same as 3 other people who play PoE. They're like, oh, this other guy was being bad. So I'm like, how do I fix? They're like, we'll just unban you, and we won't tell him that we've unbanned him, and just pray he doesn't come back. I'm like, sounds like a terrible idea, but let's do it.
Not much else you can do.
Yeah, I could try and I think I could pay extra and get my own IP, but if I don't have to, I won't.
That's IP banning for you. It doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
It works against... It doesn't work against bad actors. It does work against people who...
are abusing something.
Who are doing something unintentionally.
Yeah, like the people who run the bad macros that are in the background just flagging the server. Like a quick IP ban will solve that instantly. But if someone's being malicious, yeah, you can't really do much.
Yep.
It was fun, though. I mean, I didn't do anything, but I mean, it was fun troubleshooting with them because it was back and forth. Like, it was the quickest customer service I've ever had because I'm like, what the fuck's happening? It was back and forth. Like one support guy writing a fucking novel or something. It's great. I love their support. Like, you can message him at like 1 a.m. and there's some guy on the other side of the planet who happens to be the off shift who's like, yeah, I'll change your name from Slippery Balls to Slippery something. Like, no problem, mate. Done. Like, that's crazy that they do that. And also crazy, like, I've tinkered with like game development and stuff, and I've had a look at how netcode works. And the fact that you can just swap from one server to another, like realm-wise, like the fact that you're not limited, like World of Warcraft, you're not limited to just the Australian realm or just the American realm. The fact that you can buy an item from someone in Singapore and just route to Singapore, join their hideout, buy it, and leave. The fact that you can do that like in an instant is mind-blowing. Like, if they can't figure out how to get a server browser in their game, but they got the networking, like who the fuck made that networking? It's ridiculous. I love it.
Or, well, I mean, I'm thinking of EVE Online here because EVE Online is a single shared universe, so everyone's on the same server. They had an in-game browser and it caused them so many weird, wonderful problems.
Oh, you could like inject so much malicious shit with an in-game browser. Like, I'm not even going to recommend the things that are very easy to figure out that you could do, but don't do that. Don't even... There's so many rules against that in the server terms, the website terms of service. It's not worth it.
Eventually EVE Online actually got rid of their in-game browser. Like, they had it programmed and they just killed it off. One of the big things they had was that because it was a bespoke browser, all sorts of plugins would... Like, that people would expect to work, would keep breaking.
They shouldn't make... I mean, they're not making it as a browser, obviously. They're just making it their trade in-game. And the easiest way to do that is with a web plugin, like a overlay. I can't remember the name of it when I did it. But yeah, just like a browser plugin, when in fact they probably should just design it as an in-game UI. It's convoluted and difficult, and good luck to them if they decide to do it. Anyway, something.
Much else to say on it,
actually usable.
What's that? Either one?
I think we roboted there.
You both talked at the same time, and all I got was garbage.
Oh, you go.
I was just asking how much of what we've talked about is actually usable for what you're trying to do.
Oh man, this is all usable. I don't care. You want to know the name of this? What I was gonna call this? I mean, if you can think of any funny names,
podcast?
yeah, other than Slippery Jim's podcast, if you can think of any names, I'll use them. But I was lying in bed and I thought of one that I thought was hilarious. Maybe I'm just gonna call it extended discussion and then acronym it to ED. And so if anyone types in Slippery Jim erectile dysfunction, then it'll go straight to my podcast. Or Essence Strain maybe, but
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know.
looking up Essence Drain builds and you find this instead.
Yeah, I mean, I made a joke video about fishing ages ago, how to craft an angler's plate, except it's like the actual physical one. And like sometimes, every now and then, when I'm feeling the need for fishing, I like type into Google to see if anyone's cracked anything, and I get baited by my own fucking first result because I got in early on that. Pisses me off. But like,
Oh, the
something
number
like
of
that.
times that I see YouTube recommending to me my own betrayal era guide to high investment mapping.
Dude, you
Which I
got
really should
the
unlist.
SEO. Don't no, keep it. People love it. I kept one listed that is literally, it was like brand new game knowledge at the time, and so it got all of the search rankings for everyone looking for it, and then Ziggy D saw it and remade it an hour later, but like way better and like high production quality because Ziggy D is fucking amazing. And I'm like, in every single aspect that I can on that video, I'm like, Ziggy's is better, go look at his, it's just mine, but like reskinned, it's way better, go look at his. I still get hits on that video of people going, this guy's piece of shit, just get to the point, I hate you. I'm like, you don't understand, at the time it was new. I was like, holy shit, we've discovered something, let's put it out there in my talking 10,000 times a minute, fucking 10-minute long for one piece of information because I was excited. But like the hate mail that I get is so worth, just keep it up. If you get hate mail, keep it up, it's worth it more for that reason. Uh-oh.
I get the same with the video I put out when we first worked out how to make to use the Awakener's Orb, and the first thing that I could think of was making Shaper or Elder Stygian Vices with it, which was something that, like, they were removed from the game, made legacy because they were considered too strong, and then it was like, oh, we can add them again. So all it was simply craft a double influence base. Was all the video was really about, and that wound up being, I think, my third most viewed video ever on the channel.
That being said, I have delisted a video because I received so much hatred, like 80, probably 95% hatred, and it was like that time. Well, this is unrelated. You know that clip that I had that was like losing one of those 40x heist. Basically, yep. I lost a 40x heist trinket because I couldn't see the future and I died. And then every single backseat game was like, if this was me in that scenario, I would have got out of there with that 40x heist thing. Therefore, I hate you because you lost money that I could have had if I was in that situation. I blew 1,000, maybe 10,000 divines on Venter rings once, and I did a video of that, and holy shit, I got death threats for that. Like, what's wrong with people? They would send you a death threat over you rolling over a 9 quant ring with 2 resistances. Like, what type of life do you have to live for you to be that boring that you have to send it? It's great. I love it. But I have delisted one, sadly. Because it's just...
Maybe they wanted to buy divine orbs and you crashed the market.
I didn't. I made the market better because everyone who had divine orbs was suddenly selling them again. Because they're like, holy shit, there's no one selling divine orbs. I'm going to sell them. And
there's no reason.
I got scammed by that guy that sells everything on standard. What's his name? Fuck that guy. He's there when you want something in bulk, but he's an absolute prick because he's like, oh, you want 4,000 divines? The first 1,000 are the normal price, but then it goes up after there, mate. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. Give me them. And he's like, oh, you want 6,000 more? I'm like, yes. I have 9,000 lost maps prophecies in standard. Would anyone like to buy a lost map prophecy? It's they're cheap. Chaos maybe.
I will pass.
Why not? It only took 2 hours to buy all of them and put them all into the stash or something like that.
If this was Legion, maybe. For the tier 2 glaciers.
That was really good, wasn't it? Dude.
Oh god, that was so boring.
That was like...
Legion was the league.
It was really good, but only because of my build at the time. Where I was just trying to get the biggest, this was the build where I was doing kinetic blast, cast on crit, chaining fireball, And I was really entertained by the fact that it could kill the entire Legion really quickly. So I was like, I just want to get that feeling of clearing the entire Legion over and over. I don't even care about the loot.
I know developers sometimes do it when they go, hey, there's a thing in our game that's still undiscovered, like that cloak, that wisdom magic.
Isley.
Yeah, like that. That's still an undiscovered recipe. The glacier farming in Legion, when I put out the video, said, hey, glacier farming, and 3 people said, why the fuck do you do that? And then MP put out a video, was like, holy shit, glacier farming, and everyone do glacier farming. Glacier farming was the B tier money making strat that I had that league. There was an A tier one, which I did on stream in front of everybody, but no one picked up on the fact that I was printing currency with it. I just didn't tell people that it was printing currency. I just did it like silently, occasionally every now and then I did a thing. It still works. It didn't get nerfed. Glacier farming got nerfed because everyone did it. There's a thing. This is my PSA to literally anyone who's watching this. There's a thing that came out in Legion League that prints money like 4 to 5 times the money you put in. Takes barely any time. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's there if you want to go find it. If you find it, DM me what you got and I'll tell you if you're right. I've had like 7 people DM me their ideas and no one's got it yet. It's still in the game. It never got patched because it wasn't the meta, I suppose. And I'm not going to abuse it because I find fun in farming thousands of shit maps. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to abuse something to make money, but it's still there. Go do it. You'll find it. I believe in you. It's not a build. The reason I said it's not a build is because Jousis is like, what if it's a build? Like all the items like coming into your brain. Like,
did I miss in Legion?
Dude, but those Ice Nova chains, holy shit, that was beautiful. I loved watching every single video of anyone, like every single time someone like blew up a Legion, like that was beautiful, and then you look at the video, I'm like, yes, that was beautiful.
I loved that because it made the Wreath of Frisia meta. Because you were stacking light radius for area of effect on your ice nova.
That was funny.
I never did it. I did it for a little bit and then I backed out and just did other memes. Isn't there like a map that gives you quant based on your light radius?
Yeah, that's the horrible
but
stuff.
Is that the one with the shielded bastard? Is that Waru Haru Tuahu?
Yeah. Wakawairua Tuahu.
Wakawaru Tuahu. I know a New Zealander who says it real well, but I'm not saying it like I could get him in this call right now.
We looked up and practiced pronouncing it on stream.
What was the name of that thing that Stark was getting everyone to name?
Or whatever. Is that what you're about to ask?
That the boss from Incursion. It's like, how do you pronounce this boss name? And it's just like Axel blah or something.
Oh yeah, those are all like Mayan, Aztec influenced names, but they're still kind of made up.
Crossed with axolotls.
Personally, I love the Architect of the Horde, Huatalatali, because it sounds like quite a lotally.
Oh.
And he's just hoarding stuff.
That makes sense. That's like the best name ever. Holy shit.
The other ones that are difficult are the Val unique jewels. So I think it's Javaqua. Obviously Doriani is easy, but there's another one that's difficult as well.
There's like one starting with an X IQ or something.
That's Javaqua.
Is it?
Jesus.
What the fuck?
At least I'm assuming it's Javaqua.
Well, the problem is if they make something
Aquana?
If they make something too easy to pronounce, like Heist and Harvest, you'll get them mixed up constantly. The fact that they're so obscure and unique, you're like, oh yes, I know that one. It's the one that does this thing. It's pronounced who the fuck knows, and it's spelt like an alphabet. They're very unique. Oh, fuck, man.
I still cannot pronounce Ngamahu's sign correctly.
Namahu's? You say Namahu. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, that's what they say, but you're supposed to pronounce the NG like in sing. And I can't do that syllable correctly.
NG is sing. Sing.
Like nga.
Ngamahu's. That's fine. Ngamahu's.
But yeah, see, you're going like nya, like
like a cat, like this,
like you're a weeb.
Yeah,
but that's not how you say it.
Nyamahoos.
Are they all discussing pronunciation issues? I am going to duck off to the loo.
Oh, good. Are you supposed to click when you say Nyamahoos? Because my thing does it by default. My tongue says nya, and I click like.
Yeah,
like
I did that in my videos, but I'm not sure if that's correct. I haven't spoken to a native who was corrected me.
Have you done a pronunciation video series? Because that could really take off. Just like
this is how you pronounce everything in the game.
This is everything you're doing wrong.
You're wrong, and
just pronunciation. Yeah. Because what's it? Barracks respite instead of respite? It's respite. I didn't know that. Well, I do know that now, but I don't say it because it's stupid. Correct pronunciations are garbage.
Yeah, it's like respite is the verb, respite is the noun. No one cares. Interchange it. No one cares. The vernacular will eventually become correct.
You said vernacular. I don't even know. You could have said vernacular is a unique shield, and I'd believe you because I'm not learned, sadly.
Vernacular basically means this is how everyone speaks.
Well, fuck everyone else.
It's like universally, this is what most people would say.
How do you like the conversation so far?
I like that it derails frequently, but I still have that anxiety. Like, we should still be talking about the thing that we derailed from earlier.
Honestly, like, I want it to be discussions more than PoE. Like, I was looking at the clock when we were talking about ritual and stuff like that. I'm like, we pretty much covered everything I care about in Echoes. I mean, we could talk about every individual thing, and we probably will when God gets back. But, like, I was, like, looking at what we're talking about and how much time had passed. It'd been 10 minutes. And I'm like, holy shit, I've run out of everything I wanted to say this podcast, in quotes. And then we talked about, like, lay-by and politics, and I looked at the clock, and it had been an hour. And I'm like, holy shit, that's great. I'd much rather it be, like, a normal conversation for an extended period of time than hey, let's sit down and do something scripted for 10 minutes, you know? Anyway, Gog's back. Let's do something scripted for 10 minutes.
It depends on whether the goal is to inform or to entertain. Because if the goal is to entertain, then you just go off on a tangent.
Entertain, man. Fuck informing. There's like 10, maybe 15 podcasts out there that are already talking about Echoes. Who gives a shit about Echoes? We're all going to play it. No one knows anything about it right now. There's no reason to talk anything about it right now. There's no reason to talk about builds because of no passive trees. I mean, you two are the guys that are like, sure, you know all about items and you know all about builds. There's no reason to talk about items or builds because it's all going to get fucking changed when the patches come out. There's no such thing as information pre-league. The only information that exists is right when the league starts, and by the time the league is started, everyone's playing the fucking league and no one wants to talk about anything. Long story short.
Speculation is fun.
Speculation is fun, but it's not helpful.
It's the most
fun part of it. I'm sitting there doing my music stream, and someone comes into chat, and they're like, hey, what are your thoughts on the league? And I'm like, it's fun. I'm gonna play it.
Yep.
That's my thoughts.
My thoughts. I watched the trailer and I wait. You went to XLCon, right, Gog? You played. You played the.
We met there.
Yeah, you played the demo though, right? The PoE2 demo.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer and there was like 3 seconds of that trailer where there was some roots over a tree and I recognized them from the PoE2 gameplay. I'm like, holy shit, these maps look like PoE2 because there's that root there. And then, like, later on, the QA or whatever, Chris is like, yeah, the artists are the same than doing PoE2. And I'm like, fucking mind blown. That's all I got out of the entire Echoes trailer. Were those cool-looking roots from PoE2? God damn, son. They look good.
Now, see, I'm always looking for the little bits of info. And I guess it's partly because it's so much of my channel as well, is, like, the speculation period is by far the busiest period of the league launch.
You do a lot of, like, item breakdowns. Oh, that's recently.
I don't think that's typical in PoE. I think, like most of the other content creators, their busiest period is like weeks 1 and 2 and 3 of a league. Whereas for me, it's weeks -1 and -2. It's
weird. You've been doing like item breakdowns and stuff recently, right? How many of those do you even have planned? Like, is that pre-recorded content, or are you doing them day of?
I've run out of them now. In terms, like, I did a bunch back to back, but basically they were items I had a degree of familiarity about that I could talk for 6 to 12 minutes on without needing to do much research. Actual research for them was pretty quick because I already knew most of them.
When you do them, do you have a document that you're reading?
Depends how complex the item is.
Because you just talk and talk and talk like you know what you're talking about, and I'm watching, I'm like, holy shit, I should learn and do this because this is impressive.
More often, it's like with the item one specifically, I've had much less in the way of notes. I'll often have a browser with 3 or 4 windows open that are things I want to refer to during it. But also, yeah, it just depends on which one it was.
Can I ask you specifically about an interaction that you talked about but I couldn't find it on your YouTube channel, or is that going to be a spoiler for a future thing? Something about Scion and Unnatural Instinct and how it's broken, and if they buff Scion, then it's going to be even more broken?
Well, more that Unnatural Instinct is so much better for Scions than for anyone else.
Why though?
Just because of the dual sockets near the center, like they're the best spots for for Unnatural Instinct. So the opportunity cost for the Scion is much lower.
Okay.
When you're using Unnatural Instinct, you always go to that top right of the Scion, no matter what. That's where all the crit multi used to be before they changed it.
Yep.
And so Scion would grab that.
Yeah, and wherever you put it at one of the 3 Scion dual slots, Unnatural Instinct is extraordinarily good there. And it's cheaper for a Scion to put it there than it is for any other class to put it there. And additionally, it is like you will have less passives that you need to fill in because Unnatural Instinct blanks the ones you actually path through.
Yeah.
So for that reason, a lot of the power of the Scion class now is the fact that you can use Unnatural Instinct so well. I think if Unnatural Instinct was nerfed, they could make Scion quite a bit better than it is. But at the moment, if they were to make Scion considerably better and leave Unnatural Instinct as it is, then you got a situation where you'll have a Scion meta, at least in the top sort of... Unnatural Instinct is Siobhan's Wrappings rarity, so it's going to be like maybe 50,000 of them in existence in a league. So you'll have 50,000 Scions that are using it, and it'll be bonkers on them.
I was thinking if there was a replica Unnatural Instinct, what would you want it to be? And why are you just drinking out of an entire bottle? What the fuck's wrong with you? Get a cup, you madman.
Caffeine addict.
Sure.
What's your cup have?
What?
200 ml in it?
Yeah, but I gotta drink like... nah, this could fit a whole can.
Ounces.
This is 600 mils, baby. It's flanged or whatever.
Water bottle. I have to
2,000.
unscrew it every time.
I mean, I have water as well because you gotta drink water, and apparently that's good for you. But
As much as I always talk about beer,
you don't drink beer?
Is what I'm addicted to.
Do you drink beer?
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Caffeine is what I'm addicted to, in a way, like actual drug dependence.
Yeah, I do wake up in the mornings and I have this weird feeling in my belly that doesn't go away until I have a sip of Pepsi. Is that a bad thing?
Yes, it is, and join the club.
It does go away.
Hunger.
No, it's not hunger. I could drink and I could eat and it would still be there. It's like a craving.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's probably addiction.
It
to
is
caffeine.
addiction. I know, right? It's so weird. I haven't experienced something like that before. It's only recent, ever since I bought 80 liters of Pepsi. Ever since then, I've just had it. It goes away.
That'll do it.
It goes away. If I don't drink Pepsi for 2 weeks, it goes away.
If I don't drink caffeine, if I don't have caffeine for 2 days, I am not a functioning human being on the second day.
But you'll get better after a week, though, right?
I could write off a week in order to go cold turkey. I've done that before, but yeah, it's like I would be a write-off for a week, and I would probably need to do that like at
Before
a
a league
campsite.
start.
I would need to go to a hiking campsite,
Oh.
put up a tent, and just...
Right, you have a car and you're an adult, right? So you can go and get it whenever you want. Whereas I get it delivered because I'm like poor and like shit. So it's like I could really just hold off doing it. But then I could go
walk to the shops as well. I can walk to a supermarket.
That's fair. Yeah, I can't do that because I live bush. Not really, but long road, very long road. Shit.
Yeah, I'm in suburbia and I'm a kilometre from a Coles, so like a kilometre from a Coles, or at a stretch, I'm 4 from Aldi.
Oh shit. You're in like New South Wales or something, right?
Vic, I'm in the outer southeast of Melbourne.
Okay. I'm not trying to get too doxy or anything. I've been to Melbourne twice. Their water is very tasty.
Yeah, water here is meant to be.
It's
really
fucking
good.
amazing.
You don't notice it.
Water here is garbage tier, and then water in Melbourne, I'd probably be addicted to water in Melbourne if I had it.
I'm addicted to water. I'd probably die if I didn't have any for 3 days.
I feel as though
I don't
everyone is addicted to water.
I don't think I am, actually. I could probably go a while without it. You know, it would get pretty horrific, but I probably am due for a kidney stone, so I'm trying to, like, fight it off. It's too late now. It's going to happen eventually, but I should probably stop drinking Pepsi and stuff. It's so good, though, right? Especially if you... Wait, you got Pepsi Max, right? Do you have any full cream milk in the house? and a cup. You don't have any milk? You gotta try
I think
this.
so. I don't drink
It's
it.
really good. You put like half a cup of Pepsi and the rest of it is milk. I'm serious.
Basically, that's basically a root beer float.
Yeah, it is without the root beer. It's just a float. A
with
virgin
Pepsi
float.
instead.
A virgin Pepsi float. You gotta try it.
Like, when I say root beer, it doesn't have alcohol.
Oh, that's fine. But still, I don't know what root beer does to it.
This sounds
I mean,
like something that would make you projectile vomit and paint the walls in vomit.
Some other
Yeah,
Australian I know did vomit after having it, but I think he made it wrong. Based on my description of how to do it, you'll be fine. If you put the milk in first, you're gonna have a real bad time. Don't do that. Because you know how ratios work. You've got 100% milk and a little bit of Pepsi, that's terrible. But if you've got 100% of Pepsi and a little bit of milk, it's perfect. And then it only gets better the more milk you add. You gonna try it? Do you have a cup? Do you have any milk? You don't have any milk.
No, I don't have.
We
any.
have
Maybe next
I don't know
time.
if you've ever heard of this. Maybe it's an American thing, but there is a soda called Moxie.
I haven't heard of it.
It is by itself, unless you have some sort of nostalgia for it, really terrible because it has a really bad aftertaste. And so all the way back to when they were like marketing it, and still to this day, because this is a really old soda, they marketed it where you put milk in it and you make Moxie milk, and
Oh.
it gets rid of the shitty aftertaste.
Oh. I mean, this is just...
It's really not bad.
Honestly, all it is sweet, bubbly milk. And if the bubbly part throws you off, come on, it's really good. Just try it. Just give it a go. I'd do it, but I've got watered down Pepsi because it had ice in it, so I don't know how that would react. But it's really good, and you should try it. And I don't know how long I'm going to continue this conversation until everyone here is feeling incredibly awkward.
Okay, where I used to eat
so
lunch
much of this.
had, for a brief period of time, a soft serve machine and a fountain drink dispenser. So I tried every combination of soda and vanilla ice cream.
Were any of them good?
That reminds me of being a kid.
Okay, root
They're
beer
called
float,
spiders
good.
here, by the way, because of course they fucking
Mountain
are.
Dew
It's Australia.
float. Mountain Dew float, surprisingly close to like rainbow sherbet ice cream, but I still wouldn't recommend that you drink it.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's a specific.
I don't know what the
flavor
flavor
of
is.
ice
Yeah.
cream. It's like a. It's basically fruit flavored, but like the fake like high fructose corn syrup fruit flavor.
That's.
Not actually fruit flavored.
I have a question about milk. How long does unpasteurized milk last for?
Probably shorter than pasteurized milk, which is still very short.
It's like a week or something.
Yeah,
Anyway,
a week sounds about right. I would not trust it past a week.
there's a company here that's making unpasteurized milk that doesn't expire for 2 months.
Depends on how it's packaged
And then
what
they're
they
like-
do to it.
They're putting it in like cardboard box container, those type of things, and they're selling it to China because China loves their unpasteurized milk. Apparently, we don't. I think it's illegal to sell unpasteurized milk in Australia, so they're not selling it here. But they are a company here, so they're taking Australian milk, making it last 2 months, and shipping it overseas. Literally shipping it though. Like,
Are they
the-
putting anything in it?
oh yeah, I mean, I fucking hope so. What the hell? How magic?
Yeah, just sell it rotten.
I mean, to sell you on their server, I'm not plugging them, but it's fucking dark magic. They made an avocado that never turns brown, or at least like lasts like 4 months. If you cut it open, it never like browns. It's dark magic, man. It's interesting though.
This reminds me of that thing with McDonald's where people
Oh.
took a McDonald's
Oh
thing and
yes.
put it aside somewhere for like ages and
You can still eat them.
came back to it, and it's
No,
like,
that makes a lot of
oh,
sense.
it's-
If you put something and it
hardly
doesn't
decayed.
already have like mold on it or something, and you put it in a sealed like vacuum container, it's not going to go bad for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now, some things will do that
Yeah.
anyway because they naturally already have the things in them to decompose, but a Big Mac without some of the vegetables does not do that.
Oh boy, why am I hungry?
Anyways,
What do you want to talk
speaking of food, Echoes of the Atlas.
Echoes of
And
the. I
eating
was just
10
reaching to the
10
side
pieces of
to grab a
breakfast.
burger. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about passive? I thought today was passive trees. I'm the big idiot. God damn it. Okay, I was really excited for craftable watchstones. First of all, I wasn't excited because craftable watchstones sound like a massive pain in the ass. And then they said they don't like expire. I was like, oh cool, craft a watchstone that lasts for like 9 turns, sounds great. But then now that they're just there and you can use them forever, but you only get the specific type per zone or something like that, right?
Yeah, they're octant locked. So if you loot one, I think if you loot one from Lex Proxima, it's locked to Lex Proxima, I think, which is I was initially not impressed with that. Then I realized, oh yeah, that just removes so much fiddly optimization.
Your internet is going to shit. Just thought I'd let you know.
How about now?
We still got what you were saying.
You're still
but it was
there.
Really robotic.
You start out really slow, and then you finish what you're saying, and then your camera catches up in like silent film style. It's amazing. But yeah, you look fine now. I don't know. I can't tell. You're not saying anything, so it's hard to tell.
Possibly someone else, something else in the house is pulling on the internet connection.
Toaster,
for a sec.
Chinese toaster, downloading an update OS.
Yeah.
Downloading your data, uploading to China.
So like, I would have really liked it if the skill tree system for the Atlas was universal, but I can understand why they had individual ones for each zone. Because instead of there being like an overarching meta that could just be decided, now it's like you've got 8 different ones and you can try 8 different things.
I want good thing. Pick good thing.
Well, I really want to do Metamorph, maybe, and now I don't know where it is.
I really like the idea of specific octants having specific specialties, though. Like, one of the octants had a delve specialty in it. So if you're planning on going nuts with delving, then you're just going to do you're going to just focus on that one octant.
Any single
every cost kill that you do in that octant is going to give you 500 silver.
We're losing you again, but it's okay. I can almost guarantee you that whichever octant, as you're calling it, has burial chambers or tower is going to have absolutely nothing for pack size in it. And definitely not that ambush one. Unless it does, in which case everyone's going to lose their bloody mind.
I understand what you're saying, and I also like that having specialties within, what are you calling it, octants?
Yeah,
it's
baby.
Like, if I want to run delve, I'll run this octant. If I want to run something else, I'll run this octant.
Yeah, it's almost like...
I enjoy that for variety.
It's almost like they're encouraging choice. And it's something they've been trying to do for ages, and everyone keeps thinking they have to do everything, when in fact you only have to do what you like.
The question is going to be, is it going to be a clear best octant? I think that's a problem if there is one. I hope that there's not for instance, let's take the Heist League. Opinions on the Heist League were really divided because heisting, grand heists were the best thing to do from a reward perspective. Whether you wanted loot, whether you wanted XP, the best thing to do was run grand heists. And that meant that people felt pressured to run them. Whereas with heists likely to get considerable nerfs in rewards, I think you'll see that people who enjoy heist content will not run it. And people like me, the octants.
Fair enough. I'm just going to say that because you cut out again, but it's fine. Maybe we should just end this. I don't know how much I've got because of it. We've got at least 80% of the podcast is us talking about lay buying and politics, and then 20% of that is like a couple of good item interactions. I was going to call this extended discussion item interactions, but it's extended discussion politics, not PoE, and then like a small like fine print item discussion down the bottom right. Maybe. That's great.
Maybe cut out a little bit about politics.
No. This is great. I love it. Why? You don't want to tie to your side?
Okay. The only thing I care about is someone goes to your video, hears me in this discussion, doesn't like my opinion, and then goes to my video and talks about it.
Oh, you just don't want it back. I could just cut you out of the entire thing. Just have me and Gog talking.
Just because you're put in the bit about you talking about like Australian politics, and then just cut me out of it because I didn't say anything.
Well, you didn't say anything about American politics anyway, so it's fine. No one's judging you for being a right-wing Trump supporter. You were there at the Capitol, weren't you? Good loot drops and shit there. Testing your cast when damage taken. No, okay. I'm getting too far with that.
I enjoyed the live updates, because basically everyone dropped what they were doing. Like this happened during the workday, right? So this was like 2 p.m. and everyone just drops what they're doing and is just watching the coverage.
yeah, I don't know. It's like it's a disaster. It's basically terrorism, but it was so lighthearted. People watching it and watching like the updates of the guy that's half naked and wearing like 3 raccoons on his head or something like that. It was like a giant reality TV show. It was.
It's not the singer Jamiroquai. It's just that it looks so much like a silhouette that Jamiroquai in his early years was marketed with.
Is it bad that it was so enjoyable to watch your like government fall apart? You
We think it's kind of
you just
funny
said you didn't want to talk about politics. Now I'm like asking political leading questions, and you're like, oh fuck, just cut it out, please, just cut it out. You don't have to abuse it though.
I'll just keep 2 in standard or something.
They were pretty garbage, just generically. Like that build was pretty garbage. That incredibly broken build, garbage.
People really wanted me to use them with like Vol Molten Shell.
Oh.
Oh, that got changed. So they were never live at the same time, were they? The old Molten Shell.
No, not the old Molten Shell. The new Vol Molten Shell, you can get the damage reflection up to like 30,000%.
Is that much though? Like, given how much monster hit points are compared to player hit points?
Now that they've changed it so it doesn't take 70% of the damage, but it takes 30% of the damage. Now that they've changed that, it's garbage. Like, it was garbage before, but now it's definitely garbage.
Wasn't there a build that used it right before it got patched, which was not that it wasn't that attack helicopter build, but it was something like it, where it was self-inflicting damage to just constant do a small little explosion that was basically the power of the sun on a single point, and you just took a step onto a boss and it instant died.
That was unless
beautiful.
You're talking about my video specifically, there was another build like it. So my plan, like the patch that they nerfed Vol Molten Shell by changing it into the new Vol Molten Shell, my plan for that league was a build that had like 600 million Vol Molten Shell DPS with extremely tiny budget, which is why they changed it. Because my video, like, I was like, oh, I have 22 million Shaper DPS. This is hilariously inefficient, but very, very good. If you actually took that build and like min-maxed it to do damage, it was insane. You could get 1 billion DPS.
Speaking of Molten Shell, I really liked using the old Molten Shell as a, like, not Val Molten Shell here, just the old Molten Shell as a, like, as a spammable spell. Like, I don't know if you ever tried that. You'd fight the Elder in particular because he's got such a slow melee attack, and just keep casting Molten Shell, and he's hitting you. And you could do the same with Shaper as well. You're in point blank range, so they're using their melee skills rather than their ranged ones. And it's just like swing, and before the swing connects, you pop up a Molten Shell, and it uses up all of the old school shield and explodes as well. It was a lot of fun.
It's
like just cast a new one before the next swing.
That's like playing a game where you have to predict a block, like right before the. That wouldn't have worked based on the old system of like boss mechanics, though, would it?
No, if you stand in melee range of those bosses, they will melee you.
Yeah, they won't use the Shaper Ball. They'll use a melee attack that's slow.
I wasn't mechanically adept enough to do something like that back when Molten Shell was still a thing.
I was never smart enough to stand directly next to a boss to make it attack me. I was always hiding in the corner like a bitch and getting range attacked.
Try it on Shaper.
Shaper
is arguably safer at point blank range than at long range.
Yeah, he'll stop doing the long range beam and the ball attacks. He'll just start meleeing you. So if you like circle strafe around him in very, very close melee range, very, very easy to kill without taking damage.
Huh. Oh, something I do need help with, Jousis, is converting an ES build to a life build. You want to help me with that later on?
Yes.
Because all good players take a build that's working in life, and they're like, I hate life, I want to make it ES. And they make it ES, and it kind of works. And I found a build I want to play, and I hate ES, so naturally I want it to be life again. I don't know how to do.
Yep. I shied away from ES builds solely because they restricted my gear too much, and I wanted to use a bunch of stupid uniques, and so I always scale life now.
Why get a Shavs where you could just put a Calms on and be like even more strong?
Calms is such a has-been.
What do you mean? It's great. It's like 5C league start these days. Maybe.
It's not 5C on day.
A couple of my characters had Calms as the best in slot, and so I like spent my first few days farming like 200 chaos with the chaos recipe, and then bought one, and then it immediately goes down to like 20 chaos.
Yeah.
Next few days, and then I'm just really sad.
When that chest came out, Calm's body. What's the unique chest? Calm's chest. Whenever that came out, I was like, oh shit, Calm's chest, cool. So I went into a map and found an armor strongbox and chanced it, and scoured it and chanced it and got it in 40, and then I opened the box and I got a Calm's chest. I'm like, check out this cool thing. I used to do it all the time back when I was a noob. I'd find out a really cool thing that you can do, and I'm like, cool, let me go do this really rare thing immediately, and then link it on Discord to make everyone rage. I did it with what's the oh shit. It was like I got +2 projectiles enchant on a helmet base, and someone's like, if you chant scour this, I think it was a Mind of a Matter helmet, I don't know. It's like really rare.
Mind Spiral.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I could Google it and like know the picture immediately. But I was like, yeah, they're like, yeah, if you chance it into this, it's worth 35 more X. And they said it as a joke because it's super high tier and hard to get. And I'm like, okay. And it took me 12 chance scours. And I'm like, cool, I made 35 extra X. They're like, you what? I'm like, yeah, look, I got it. And I linked it again. They're like, you gotta stop doing this, Jim. It's not good. By the way, I don't think, and I have tested and I didn't put a video out. I was trying to get specifically the unique divination boxes, Maelstrom Cell, that can show up in Shaper maps, Shaper influence maps. I chance scoured about 2,000 times on a box and never got it, and I gave up. I honestly don't think. I mean, there's no way you can't get it, but I didn't want to keep doing it. Like after 2,000 chance scours, and I still hadn't seen one, and I don't know the rarity of them. I guess I'd have to run like Monstrous Treasure Shaper maps to try and get them to show up, and then count how many there are in relation to maps and stuff like that. Boxes, I guess, but it's a bit of a bummer. I was 100% willing to put in all of my money to do 100 of them just for shits and giggles, but couldn't even get one with like 2,000 to 5,000 chance scours.
And that box isn't that rare either.
It's not. Well, that's such a mood killer. I mean, I could try and get it manually, like over time, slowly, but like it's a mood killer that I couldn't chance it, you know.
Speaking of specific strong boxes and stuff like that, I want to do a test next league on Paranda Scarabs and the divination card, the Cheetah, that drops from the Paranda Safe chest, which is the gem one.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cheetah is 1/3 of a 6/20 awakened gem.
Ooh.
It drops from the Paranda Safe chest. I've had it drop once.
Does it only drop from there?
But I want to do a bit of a real sample size. Sorry?
Does it only drop from there?
I can confirm it drops from the Parandus gem chest. I've had it myself.
But we don't know whether it only drops from there. It's just... Oh, no, yeah, I guess that makes
really,
sense.
really rare.
Yeah.
It might drop from Cirrus.
Or Uber Cyrus.
Have you run Cirrus much, Justice?
No, I do not do very much endgame.
I can tell your builds are quite trash at some things.
My build that I'm making a video on right now, did I kill Cirrus with it? I barely failed Uber Elder, and then I did eventually do Uber Elder. Like, the build isn't good enough where you can just go in and one try Uber Elder.
Yep.
How many Cyruses do you do, GOG, a league?
I sell them normally.
What the fuck?
I sell the instance.
You seem to be very like bold on claiming that you know that it's like 1 in 5 for an Awakener orb though. Where are you getting those numbers from?
That was from Grimrose testing.
How many did he do?
He did 100 when it was new.
Ah, shit, man. I was gonna do 100 as well this league, but now I have something to stack it up to.
The cheater, it only says can drop from Paranda safes and then the Gambler and Stack Deck.
Yeah. But I as I said,
there's no evidence
from Paranda safe. So I was wanting to do a bunch of Parandus maps. Like when I say a bunch, like maybe 1,000 Parandus Scarabs, and because they're always super cheap, the low end ones, and just track the number of Parandus safes that appear, because I know the Parandus safe is a rare chest.
Yeah.
Back then, the era that Parandus came out, they were very stingy about giving out level gems as rewards from anything. So strong boxes that gave gems were stingy as well. I think they still are. They're still pretty rare, and nowadays they're worthless. But back then, gem XP was considered to be a bit more of a reward than it is now.
So you're gonna find a zone or an octet or whatever the fuck you called it with Parandus modifiers on it, and then run a shit ton of Parandus scarabs and hope you can get some juice out of it.
See if I can get some sort of ballpark estimate as the rarity of the cheetah. So I had a feeling that it might be one of those really underrated farming strategies.
What's the other one? The demon that only drops from Katava?
Correct. Lava Lake Katava.
Only Lava Lake Katava? The guy who made it contacted me and was like, "Yo, can you make a video of trying to farm this?" I'm like, "Fuck no," because like I did the basic math on how many Katavas you'd have to kill to get one, let alone a set, and it's in the thousands. So I'm like, that doesn't. It seems like a waste.
On the wiki, it says, according to a community post, this card drops from Kitava, the Destroyer, the boss of Lava Lake map. However, the card creator himself was not able to confirm the drop location.
That's why he asked me, and I'm like, I don't know if I can, man. It's you're gonna have to rely on this one random. I mean, a part of me wants to. Now this league, this expansion, I should say, of all things, like now that I can fight him twice, but I don't know whether necessarily you get boss. Do you get boss drops from the monsters in the Echo? The bosses in the Maven encounter?
Don't know this, and I asked that question specifically in relation to Kaj ILI from the Val Temple dropping Beauty Through Death, because Beauty Through Death is often a 5x drop, and it has like a 3% drop rate from Kaj ILI, and they didn't answer that. That was one of the questions.
There's the pan around shot. I don't know whether it's in the trailer or the content update thingy-majig. That's, I don't know, it could be from the Maven fight even, but there's a pan around shot in that golden area with a circle of loot, and they've got Z press, so you can't see what any of it is, but one of it's got a beam on it, like a white beam. That's the only reason I noticed all the loot on the garbage loot on the floor. Whether that's from killing the bosses, aka like timeless domain style, like you get your loot explosion, or whether that's just from the single Maven encounter, and that's Maven loot, but it feels kind of weird to kill Maven and get 300 fucking items. Whereas killing 10 bosses would probably give you 300 fucking items.
Yeah, 300 sounds about right for 10 bosses. If there's quantity modifiers on the map.
If it's only...
if they like inherit the map mods from when you captured them.
You can't get...
or at least the quant.
If you could get multiple of one boss, that'd be cool, because I could just get 10 Katavas and melt a server and maybe get a demon, but you can't. Oh, that sounds
they
annoying.
Specifically did not allow that.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be a single map. It'd be a single map strategy. Like you do.
You just farmed the best boss.
Oh, not even the best boss. You just found the quickest map to boss ratio Mesa. What?
It would be a beach.
Nah, man. Mesa's way better.
Maze?
Mesa. I'm watching his brain. Mesa. Oak.
Right. Yeah, you spawn so close to the center.
Yeah, you just run up a flight of stairs and you're there.
It is very quick and easy to get to.
Bog.
The issue with that is that the boss takes
Bog.
a little bit longer because they have a conditional invincibility thing they can put up. Like they have a reactive shield that makes them. It's only fizz immunity though, isn't it?
I do like invulnerability phases when it's things like Drox or whatever, where it's like, hey, I'm 99% invulnerable. If you've still got a shit ton of damage, you can still beat me to death right now. But for the moment, I'm going to shield for a bit. If they put more of those in as invulnerability phases, I'd be okay with it. Like when the dude in Delve is coming out of the ground and he can't be damaged, I'm slightly annoyed that I have to sit here and watch him come out. I feel like an enemy in an anime fucking where I'm waiting for the bad guy to charge up all his attacks before I'm allowed to attack him kind of thing. So if I was a bad guy, I'd just shoot them.
Have the best system, where they are extremely resilient against instant burst damage. This is like because the Harbinger summon monsters come out with a high level of damage reduction that decays over time. Shaper has that as well. Very high level of damage.
For a second there, I thought you meant actual Harbingers could take damage. I'm like, I've never
no. I mean,
had enough deeps. Yeah, gotcha.
I've never had enough deeps to kill a Harbinger outright.
That'd be cool. If that was a thing, like 99%. Fuck.
Yeah, you can't hit them at all.
Yeah, it literally says immune to damage.
Yep.
All I'm doing now in my brain is constantly thinking about that chaos dot build with the obliterations. I'm just like in my. I'm so distracted. Oh man, kill Katava. I was gonna do 100 Cyruses, but I think I won't now. Just because someone else already like did ages ago in Grimo.
Why don't you do 250 Val temples, Jim?
You keep suggesting these terrible ideas. If I was doing 250 Val temples, I wouldn't have the time to do 500 Tane metamorphs with very specific things. Whatever the fuck Iron versus Wild was trying to prove. He went from Discord to Discord, creator to creator, asking and begging for information about metamorphs. He finally got the thing he needed, but he still planted the seeds of a really shit idea in my brain, and I have to fuck him. I'll do it. Maybe. Not
Just
fuck him.
remember, there are no bad ideas, only bad people.
There are bad ideas.
Hard disagree.
I have a really bad idea that Jousis is going to help me with, maybe.
That's just me trying to talk Jim into doing something stupid because I'm a bad person.
You are a bad person.
Thank you.
You're fucking drinking Pepsi from a bottle like some savage.
Hey, if you don't have to share it, go right ahead.
It's on demand. All I have to do is mention caffeine. This is addiction.
Yes, the view from my non-caffeine addicted high horse is very nice.
Oh yeah, you're addicted to other things. Video games.
Addicted to video games.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say deep-throated singing, but that sounds wrong, and so I won't say that. Deep-voiced singing, I guess.
Yeah, you say that. The song that I'm doing right now, it's like a very high tenor vocal. I put bass in it anyway.
You're muted, Gog.
Ah, is that better?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you burp. I saw you do the mouth gesture for it. I'm like, I bet she's muted. And then you go to say something.
Damn it, we could have had that for the video.
Oh, what a pity.
It's good because it was a terrible burp anyway.
That's okay.
So you were saying about songs. What's the song you're trying to do?
I'm resisting the urge to say that it's obscure and you've never heard of it.
Oh.
Fire away.
But I just said that. So the artist is Jack W. Campbell. The song name is Absentee.
That's very obscure and I've never heard of it.
Yes, it is. This was his first song ever professionally produced, and he's like, I'm pretty sure he's younger than me. It's a very, very good song, but it was like, it didn't go through a major label. It was just promoted because it was basically really easy to get the rights to use.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of Katy Perry's music. Wait, the other one.
No, this was like, literally you can go to his Bandcamp and download it for free because it's like one of those, I want as many people to listen to this as possible things.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you're starting to see more of that now. I don't know if you followed the amount of money that Harris Heller is making from Stream Beats at the moment, where he's just said, all right, my music's copyright free. You can rebroadcast it, you can sync it on videos and on Twitch and the like, and he seems to be making an absolute killing out of that.
Yeah, it's almost like people want to hear and spread music, but it's the music copyright industry that's completely destroying their own industry. Weird.
Yeah.
That was a lot of what got me into making music. So I was
so you could play it on your own stream.
I don't like all this copyright stuff. I'm gonna make like a library of good music and then not have people pay for it.
Well, the thing is that Harris Heller is getting money from it because he's essentially set up a small record label that posts the stuff onto Spotify. And so when people stream it through Spotify or through YouTube, if you've either got YouTube Premium or Spotify's paid service, then the fact that you're streaming it means that he'll get some royalties from it. It's a small amount, but it adds up over, tens of millions of streams.
Especially if you've got like
what I was going for.
Royalty free.
So a good example, not a perfect example, but a good example of what I was talking about was have you heard of Kevin MacLeod? You've probably heard his music.
Oh yeah, I've used it. I've seen it I went to New Zealand, not for ExileCon. I went to a random tourist destination and they were playing his music in the lobby. And they literally had an LED TV with his name on it and the credit attribution because that's how they could legally do it. Like, his music is everywhere. So continue with your point.
So I was like, I just want to have music that's like a pay what you want, usually free download, and no royalties, no copyright anywhere. That was my goal. And now I'm doing covers, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, covers are much more difficult.
It's a lot harder to make a good original song than it is to just make a YouTube video with a shitty cover in it.
And if you make your own original music, you can't really stream to it because you're so critical, or at least I am so critical of my own creations.
I can't listen to my own music.
So it's cringy.
And also, like, on stream. Like, people are like, you should make a playlist with all the songs you've done. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Nah. Nope. I did, like, mashups for a little bit because I found it interesting. Because I,
love mashups.
Yeah, and I'm like, I really like this mashup. I'm never sharing it with anyone because I'm so critical of my own work, and I know all the fuck-ups I did along the way. So I can't appreciate
the absolute legend that took Sober by Tool and Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You?
No.
And posted it to Reddit recently. Like, all he did was he took all of the instrumentals from the Tool song and all of the lyrics from the Mariah Carey song. And so he's just singing it. And because they've got the right number of syllables in each line, it's like, and so it starts with, I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't even care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. And just continues like that. It is so, so funny.
I should get you for next time I sing stuff. You do singing stuff in my singing things occasionally. Oh, yeah. That's a problem. I sung something so bad, I got copyright claimed by the labeling company of that, but like of a different country, in a different language. So I sung in English and got copyright claimed by Japan. And I'm like, I must have really fucked up that song.
Making me think of that Ken Lee.
Yeah.
From Bulgarian Idol. It was one of the funniest things I've seen.
He's like the Uncle Roger guy who does the fried rice now. Have you seen him?
Nigel.
Yeah, he's like a comedian who just put on like a racist Asian accent because he's Asian, and a whole bunch of people watched it because they thought it was real, first of all, and they're all laughing at this guy just getting angry about fried rice. And now he's doing like cooking tours and shit, when in fact he's not even a chef. It's not even his real voice. He's like meeting all these famous celebrity chefs and doing like cooking parody videos. He's a comedian. It's great. It's absolutely beautiful.
Comedy show.
Yeah.
Like he's actually used the YouTube fame to actually be where other comedians are on television. And it's great because they put him on and then they're like, okay, they set him up for his fried rice bit on the show. Like that was his thing.
What's that Bare Naked Ladies song?
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Did I do a cover of that? I feel like it's in my brain. I've either written the lyrics for it and made it and never put it into a video, or it's in a video somewhere like 3 years from now. Oh, 3 years ago.
That's going to be super difficult to...
That's the problem is when I put covers in, when I make songs, hey guys, I make songs sometimes, and when I do them, I don't tell you there's a song in the video. It'll be in a random fuck off video halfway through. It'll just kick into a music of a parody song, and I don't put it in the tags or in the title, and you'll never find it again. But there's like 50 of those fuckers out there. I'm pretty sure I did Bare Naked Ladies, and if I didn't, I've already just now on my other screen found the lyrics, and it's fucking glorious. Like, I gotta get Yoast to fucking rap this or something, because...
It's been 1 week since the league went live.
It's fairly cancerous.
I'm not going to try and
freestyle.
Like, that's too fast to freestyle too.
I did one that was a parody, quote unquote. It wasn't comedy themed. I just changed the lyrics so as to try to avoid copyright. But they gave me exactly the same claim anyway, so I just do it again. Even
if you like use your own music set to their like tune, it's like that's our tune. We're claiming copyright on this 100% cover. It's like no.
Oh yeah, they copyrighted. So the claim on the parody, it was 100% my instrumental. I changed the lyrics. I sang it. The claim was that I used the melody of the song.
Yeah. Here you go. Check out my lyrics. Covered. Check out my lyrics. Can you sing that? That's the part after the "It's been 1 week." Do you need the tune? It goes holding out for the item drops, invading sealed docks. I'm gonna need some therapy, and how odd I need a rod. I wanted the Alaskan cotton. There's the Angus plate. We're trying to find the recipe. I try to farm like cute dog, rap like Snoop Dogg. People say that I talk fast. Worm Blaster's gonna make me cream, just like a wet dream. I'm open for a podcast. There you go. We're in a podcast right now. Full circle, baby. I wrote this thing like 3 years ago. What's that?
I said it came full circle.
Yeah.
Try to farm like cute dog, rap like Snoop Dogg. People say I like to talk fast. Worm Blaster's gonna make me cream, it's like a wet dream. I'm open for a podcast.
Beautiful. I'm pretty sure that's in a video somewhere. That open for a podcast jab. It only took me 3 years, and here we are. Look at that. This isn't even a podcast. This is cancer. This is a dumpster fire that I'm going to have to edit into something glorious, and even then it's going to be unlisted. But yeah, it's great. I love it. Just fucking casual discussion. This is great. I'm
Do
enjoying
need to
it.
think of, like, yeah, I reckon there's a lot of space for these to be made good, but like you say, you can't post them as monetized. They'll get claimed for sure.
Yeah. The covers and shit. Even if you don't monetize them, they still get claimed. Half of my stuff that I put a lot of effort into, like a video, and then I throw a song on it to be like entertaining, and then I don't get any of the monetization from my video that blows up because I put a song in it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's
don't
why
care.
I don't use any music at all.
It's fun though. You gotta do it. You gotta sing more often.
I just get revenue shared, where it's not like they take 100% of it. I don't even know the ratio, but it's like, yeah, it got claimed. I did it. It was fun. I got a little bit of money out of it. I'm not living off of it.
That's good. I mean, it's good that you got a little bit of money out of it, not the fact that you're not living off it.
Yeah, there are some, like, I think there's a 70-30 split rule in US copyright law for covers. I've heard this somewhere, that if you do a cover, it's very different to most IP laws. Like, let's say I'd written a book and I released it, and then I'd get offers for people wanting to buy the movie rights to it, and I would have the right to refuse them. Whereas with a cover, if I'd done a song and it was popular, and people don't need to ask my permission, but they do need to give me 30% of all of their royalties. I believe that's the way it works.
Yeah. That's the Weird Al thing, is he gets permission every cover he does, but he doesn't legally have to.
He doesn't have to. He just chooses to do so.
Because he's a cool person.
And I believe you can purchase something called a mechanical license.
Yes, which is to use their recording of the actual music track.
Right. Which is distinct from just doing your cover and like not even asking for permission, and then it's like, well, I have to pay the money.
There's so many different licenses and stuff like that. Even the tool that
YouTube
Twitch
just
set
sort
up
of automates that.
Yeah. Even the tool that Twitch set up is you can play the music in the tool on stream, but then it removes it from the VOD because you can't, like, playing something live is a different license compared to playing something on a video on demand and stuff like that. Just don't do it.
Yeah, it's such a mess.
I should look into that tool.
It only works with the music they've vetoed or they've checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is really cool. I can't. Oh wait, no, this won't work at all. So I just.
There's also a new tool that someone's created that this relies upon your viewers having their own Spotify accounts, and so it wouldn't work for me because I use YouTube music instead, but and that's just because of the time that I finally got around to getting a music sub. But the way that it works is that you, as the streamer, say, okay, I am now listening to this song, or I'm now playing this video on Netflix, and then it synchronizes your viewers. So if they have a Netflix account, or if they have a account with Spotify, it will play the same content through there, but using their license to it.
Yeah. It's like the watch together and stuff like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've dabbled with stuff like that, but I haven't bothered trying to set it up on a stream because it's going to resort is someone clicking in, not knowing about it, and just seeing me sit there bobbing my head to nothing like I'm autistic. And I do it anyway, but yeah. Yeah, exactly like that. Or like slightly humming and singing and stuff like that. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Valor tried for a solution. I don't think it scales up very well, but so he has like this complicated soundboard setup basically where he has a bot that's sitting in a Discord channel, and you can join it and listen to the bot. The bot is playing the music that he's listening to, but it's not going to the Twitch stream. So if you could cram 2,000 people in a Discord voice channel, then it would work, but you can't.
It gets very bad after 10. I think people.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing that'll get shut down as well if it gets scaled up at all. Like that's one of those things where the copyright, you will fly under the radar, and that's what Twitch used to be like. Like Twitch as an entire platform was pretty much flying under the radar. Then the record labels got pissed when people started running actual like DJ services on it.
Yeah, I mean honestly, you'd probably be better off becoming a pirate radio station.
Yeah.
And just like stream a pirate internet radio station. And you could just tune in on your browser to any... Okay, I'm not suggesting... This is all... Everyone's just talking about ways we can get around law. It's like, music copyright law, very scary. They somehow have a lot of money.
We're white hat pen testing or something.
Yeah.
Like, we're thinking of solutions in order to find countermeasures.
Obligatory something. If you're this annoyed about it, storm the Capitol. Something. Bad
What?
taste joke.
Jesus. GOG, I can identify him if the FBI needs to contact me, and I will take $1,000 to rat him out. If he is somehow linked to the storming of the Capitol.
I don't think they're interested in people that aren't, like,
American?
close.
That's fair.
Well, people that aren't just shitposting about it online.
Well, they did take out that, like, right-wing dating app or whatever that was. I don't know. Why
yeah.
are we talking about politics again? Fuck America. You're screwed. You are so screwed. We're all screwed. Elon Musk overtook Bezos. He's going to buy Amazon next. Who knows what's going to happen? Is that enough, like, IRL news? Did you know that? Do you know Elon Musk is the richest man in the world? That's scary.
Yeah.
If he can do it,
liquid.
Anyone from Reddit can do it.
I think Bezos has more liquid. Elon has more invested.
Yeah. Something.
Like it's
Bitcoin.
It's like people invested in him and he can use that money for stuff, but it's not like his money.
Yeah. That's like how I've got $1.95 in my bank account, but I'm somehow worth more than $2.
It's like you have the power to borrow.
Just the silent judgment. Yeah, that makes sense.
Assets that could borrow against.
Rich people can borrow against their name, poor people can't. Because
Yes.
rich people are slightly likely to pay it back. Or borrow from somewhere else and then use that to pay back the first one.
Not necessarily. It's just that when they don't pay it back, it's
a
we
write-off.
end up having to bail them out.
Well, it's fucked. So what's our ratio now? It's like 95% real life, 5% PoE. This is great. The ratio of me calling attention to the ratio is pretty high as well. That's like at least 5 times now.
Let's get even more meta.
What do you want to talk about? What's meta? Just the Reddit.
Meta is us talking about you talking about the ratio.
Oh, go for it then. I'll just sit here and drink water.
We'll just go like 7 layers deep, where I'm talking about me talking about you talking about the ratio of us talking about things.
Or you can send me like a video of you editing your video, and I'll put it in this podcast so people can see if your video isn't out yet. You are making efforts towards editing the video, as seen in the clip here provided of you editing your own video.
I have the script. It's not voice acted yet, which means that there is nothing in the video project.
Oh my god, you haven't even started video editing? What the hell?
Well, yeah, I do the song first, and I have all the footage, and then I record the script, and then I edit the video to fit the script.
Or you find a song you want to parody it, you record it, you then go, shit, I actually need a PoE thing for this to like make an excuse for me pursuing my actual career, which is cover songs. I better make a meme build real quick. And then you look up all the builds and you make a meme build and then you record the meme build and then you edit that together and then you put out the video under the guise of being PoE related when in fact you just want to be a singer.
This is a wonderful conspiracy, but I did the build first, and then when I was done with the build and had all the footage, that's when I started the cover.
We don't know that. There's no proof.
I streamed it.
You didn't stream it. You said you streamed 2 months ago, and the only thing you've streamed since then is you writing music. So as far as I know, for the last 24 hours, for the last week, your entire streaming career has been writing and producing music. Checkmate, atheist.
I streamed the character 2 months ago, and then I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to do the song now, and then I stopped streaming, and now we're 2 months later, I stream once, and it's finishing the song.
We have no proof that is actually what happens. That could be anyone's build.
My VODs.
Your VOD's full of copyrighted music that are now ironically muted, and we can't tell what's in them.
Actually, I streamed non-copyrighted music for a while, including this song. Like, it is technically copyrighted, but you can stream it on Twitch and it won't get claimed.
I did that as well, that I thought was something that was not copyrighted, and streamed it on Twitch, assuming I wouldn't get claimed, and then I got claimed, and I've only got 1 strike left.
See, what happens then is then I just delete it from the playlist. I didn't get like a strike. I just got the VOD muted.
Oh.
So it's like if it gets the VOD muted, I just remove it from the playlist.
That's fair.
How long do the strikes last? It's 3
I
months,
think,
right?
are they? I thought they were forever. If they're only temporary, I'm very happy with that. But if they're forever, I just can't play music anymore. That's okay though.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess I first appeared on Twitch as they were getting much stricter on the watching jigs on the DMCA things.
English, what happened? It's been 3 hours and you finally lost it. You've succumbed to my way of speaking, which is just fumbling your way through and hoping you get there in the end.
Speaking of DMCAs, I'm sure that there is some bad parody possible of like, it's fun to strike people with.
Oh no.
It's better with the roboting.
It is. The D lasts for 20 seconds. That's what she said.
Yeah, the D.
There is a French band that just rips off every popular English song. I'm pretty sure the YMCA version's called Moi j'aime skier, which means I like skiing. It's I like skiing set to the YMCA. It's beautiful. And it's penguins.
I was about to do a hot take. You were like, oh, there's this French band that just copies every good American song. I was like, Daft Punk?
Oh man, that is a hot take. Didn't they do like an extended like Tron soundtrack recently?
Yeah, not recently, but yeah.
No, like recently.
Oh, recently they extended it?
Yeah, I thought so. Or at least an extended version of Tron came out with even more Daft Punk music in it.
Tron was just a Daft Punk music video.
Yeah, it was glorious.
I mean, I like Daft Punk a lot. They're one of my favorites, but I couldn't resist the dig.
That's fair. I mean, you insult the things you like the most, which is why Pee-wee is an absolute shit game and we need more quality of life. And you're a terrible human, Jousis, which means I like you.
I am confused as to whether I should take that as a compliment.
The correct answer is you are scare-roused. I'm just teasing, which means I like you. It's a terrible spiral to be friends with an Australian. It's because they're just absolute cunts, but that's how they make friend. Just looking at God.
Thankfully, I have a thick skin.
Oh, that's good. I'm still looking at things. There's nothing to talk about with Echoes and Ritual. I'm trying to get back on track, but there's nothing there. Everything that could be talked about has already been talked about, apart from the fact that they didn't name those boots like crotch stabbers or whatever they are. You know, the boots with little Sharpie bits on them. Face breakers and face stabbers or something. They're called Storm Rider boots. They're covered in spikes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Terrible name.
What storms are you going to be riding with those?
Lightning.
Well, they're flippers of a sort. They're like beast flippers, aren't they?
It doesn't make any sense because the thorns...
You can't fit your foot in there.
Yeah. They're made for people with club feet. Or penguins. With like sharp stabby extensions.
They're made for penguins.
They are. Little flippers. They look like sackables, except they're like a really shit Assassin's Creed item. You have to cut off all your toes to use them. I guess the crafting bases or something we're talking about. Ritual, are they? Ritual crafting bases, or are they expansion?
Let's see. Storm Rider boots, pretty cool, especially if you have a crap load of accuracy rating. But per 200, you're only going to get like 3,000 accuracy rating unless you're super invested. And so that's 15 times 6. That's 15 to 90 added lightning attack damage, which as an implicit on boots, pretty good, but not build defining.
So what I think is
Penitent Mask.
What's the difference between these and synthesis items?
Well, what I think needs to be said about these is that we don't know how they interact with Varlobs, and that wasn't answered in the FAQ. That it's entirely possible that the Varlob, like if they're two separate implicits, Varlob just the drawback.
Get rid of the drawback, yeah.
And then suddenly you're looking at something pretty solid. On those boots with the damage based on lightning, if you're a Juggernaut strength stacker, you can get a absolutely tremendous amount of lightning damage from those boots. I don't know if it's going to be worth it because you're probably not scaling lightning damage all that well, but it's at least worth considering.
So I guess if the bases are cheap, you're just going to buy a bunch and vow them to try and confirm your theories and then decide whether you want to craft them and then vow them again? There's too much stuff in this game.
You should be able to tell just by pressing Alt.
Yeah, I just pressed Alt in the browser like an idiot, and it opened my menu.
I tried it as well.
Did we all just do that?
Yeah.
Idiots? God damn it.
So The other thing with that is that there is a little used helmet mod. I think it's in the Warlord mod pool that grants you additional accuracy equal to your strength on top of the Juggernaut mod, the Juggernaut ascendancy node that does that. So you can get double, I believe, at least, I believe they stack. I haven't tested this personally. If they do, then you're getting double your strength added to accuracy on a strength stacking build that's using, what's that jewel from, is it Split Personality? From the...
Yeah, Split Personality from Delirium.
Delirium, yeah. Like
you can only use one now, though.
Oh, it's only one. I thought it was two.
Is it two? Split
Let me find out.
Personality.
I'm just realized
I
I completely
wiki pulled
forgot.
up.
I completely forgot you could just
Limited to 2. Haha.
I completely forgot you could use a Crusader orb on these and just get influenced ones as well.
Yeah, and you can also add Shaper or Elder Influence if you really need it for an Awakener orb.
Or how? How make Shaper? Elder?
So,
add
you
influence
use an Elder
harvest?
Boot space.
Click a set of Shaper Boots first, then click your Crusader influenced.
Oh, it has to be
Storm Idol.
Crusaded. Right, I gotcha. I was, yeah.
It doesn't have to be Crusader, it has to be an Elder Slayer influence.
So there's no way of getting just an Elder or just a Shaper of these bases?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm using a Transfer Attuned Spirit Shield that's Shaper influenced in the Heist League, and it was created that way. It was Crusader Exalt first, then Awakener Orb on the rest.
Why I'm looking at like the third picture of Enhance Your Rituals, and it has a Katava in the ritual fight. And it's not a map I recognize with a Katava in it. Where the fuck did he come from, and why is he white? I mean, he's white because he's like the pre-stage. He's like the first Katava, Act 5 Katava, I suppose.
He's probably been brought in from a Belfry map with a ritual.
Yeah, Lord of the Grey.
So does the ritual vessels grab the boss? I thought it just grabs the monsters. I'm so confused. Stores the monster slain for the first time from a ritual altar. So you'd have to kill a Katava in a ritual to seal a Katava in a ritual to bring him back into another map to kill him again in a ritual?
Something like that. I don't know exactly how it works.
Robot Man.
Just back on Split Personality, you can get strength and accuracy rating on the same item too. So you can really make that accuracy nuts.
Yeah, and then there are sources of % increased accuracy rating, so you can get like 20,000 or something.
Yeah. I reckon that's one to watch, that Storm Rider boot.
So you could get up to 100 to 600-ish added lightning damage on a strength stacker.
Which is not that much less than the amount of added cold damage you get on a bow build.
Speaking of, I think I'm going to League Start Splitter.
Implicit too. You can then use whatever weapon you want. You can use whatever the fastest attacking weapon in the game is. Is that Brightbeak still?
Especially a Legacy Brightbeak. You can beat it with Fidelitas's Spike, I believe.
Yep, and that would work incredibly well. Would that work incredibly well or just well? So you get it.
I feel like you could just craft a really good rare with higher attack speed.
So you'd be using Deafening Essence of Zeal in conjunction, potentially, in conjunction with just getting a reasonably good lightning roll. Oh, hang on, no, there's elemental damage with attacks as a prefix. So you probably want elemental damage with attacks. Tier 1 Edward with Celebration, and that's only 2 mods. You could easily get those 2 together. Then you could get something else with it. Maybe Incursion Hybrid Lightning, like Incursion Lightning to attacks with Tier 1. A Tier 1 attack speed and something else. Like, you could easily get Tier 1 attack speed and Incursion lightning attacks mods.
But then you're a strength stacker that's stacking elemental damage is the problem.
So how are we going to scale it? That's the question.
Yeah, because you can't use melee fizz.
You lost me like 3 steps ago, but I'm chilling.
Maybe you should just be like, instead of stacking accuracy with a Juggernaut, you use those same items, but you're like stacking decks. And the dex will give you accuracy rating.
Oh, yeah, because dex gives accuracy %, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you have like a regular dex stacker, but you also use those.
So that means you're relying upon split personalities 40 accuracy, and you're ignoring the ability of scaling strength entirely. Like, you don't need that warlord mod. I think it's warlord, but you don't need that helmet mod. You just let your strength do whatever. Well, you know, just the
use like a fractal thoughts. I still want to try to promote the use of fractal thoughts and winter orb, because I have in my standard stash a +2 stages winter orb shaped fractal thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
It was a league late for it to be meta.
Rest in peace,
I want
Winter
that
Orb.
item to make a comeback.
So you played Winter Orb, but you didn't play any other meta shit? Like you said, you avoided meta stuff like golems and stuff like that, but you played Winter Orb? Did you play it when it was broken? I'm only asking because I didn't get to play it.
So I played, there was a race. And I made a Soul Thirst character that used Winter Orb and just leap slammed through the map. I didn't make it very far.
That's fair. It was hardcore, or was it softcore and you just hit a wall?
No, it was softcore. I would have died instantly.
Yeah, I don't think any of your builds are very hardcore viable. Hate to break it to you.
Maybe one of them, but not really.
Cast when damage taken?
I mean, because when you base a build around taking damage, avoiding taking damage is counterintuitive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're gonna die a lot.
You could just use it as a last resort. So if you're like the anime protagonist, you're like fighting normally, and then they finally hit you, and you're like, you've activated my trap card, bitch, and then you just explode on them. Phrasing. You know what I mean?
I mean, it kind of does that already, where it's not like you're actively killing yourself, because you're actually healing more. In most of these setups, you're healing more than you're taking damage, but you spec so hard into making that happen that you lose
easily.
all of your survivability opportunity cost.
You're not like stacking armor or resistances because you want to be able to take damage easily, so then you just get one bocked.
That, and like, I don't have any motivation to play hardcore ever, because no matter how, unless my character is literally invincible, cannot possibly be killed, there's always something in the game that's going to kill you, and then I lose all my progress, and I hate that a lot.
Yep.
Like, you could have a metamorph that had a 300,000 life corpse, and then something detonates it, and you just get one shot no matter how much health you have.
You can just say you can have a metamorph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the metamorph would do it as well.
You could have a rare mob with a ghost in it.
But yeah, the one of the ghosts detonates corpses, and it's really, really difficult to avoid dying.
The martyr, yeah.
Tomato.
What else is there? There's Aurora cultists getting into certain monsters can just wreck you as well.
I was getting my friend into the game. He hates the game, and every time I attempt to get him into it, he hates it even more. So I'm gonna wait until PoE 2 and pray that the skill gems get him into it. But he was playing at one point, and he's like, Jam, I'm having trouble. Can you come help me kill a monster? I came in. It was a fast, hasted mod with a ghost in it that gave it 3 more types of speed. And it was a snake, and it was just teleporting around the map and blinking into him and flickering on him and killing him and then blinking back. I'm like, what the fuck? Sweet hell abomination is this? I'm like, I can see why you're having difficulty. So shit like that happening to a one mob. Ooh,
the other combinations that will just wreck you will be some of the really rare bosses like Shintik the Inescapable from Incursion, not Incursion, from Invasion. That Shintik will appear with some sextant mods, and you're not expecting it, and it's that teleport spider.
Speaking of bosses, here you go, back to Echoes, baby. I'm bringing it back for once. Hey! Fuck you, Gog. Look at you, so happy. You're proud of me. I haven't even started yet. What are some bosses that are going to absolutely tear you asunder on a T16 10 boss Maven? I was thinking...
I had concerns, but they actually addressed them. I was thinking of Shock and Horror or something. Because in a big flat zone like that, they can just lock the beam on you, and there's nothing to hide behind.
They said they've balanced around shit like that.
Case by case.
Yeah, but
that was a question I asked in the FAQ that got taken up. Was Rigwald's Wolf Barrage, especially.
There's stuff that are like, there's mechanics in the bosses where you have to hide behind a thing. That's part of the boss fight that they're going to fix. But what about just generically super strong, terrifying bosses that you avoid anyway because it's not because of the mechanic, but because the boss is so strong, like the Firestorm lady from Crater?
Yeah, Crater is up there. So the one that's most often underestimated is Glace from Beach, because it's mechanically very easy, but Glace has higher damage than you expect, especially at long range with a crit. And the first hit will chill you will always chill and often freeze. So the glacial, like, you don't usually encounter that in close range because you get in close, you endure the ice novas when they come, you don't get critically hit by that ice spear. So Glace is going to be surprisingly dangerous, and there'll be a lot of hardcore rips to Glace.
There's a lot of map bosses that have more than 3 maps that have more than 3 bosses in them. So if you do one of those, is it you kill 3 separate rogue exiles and you get 3 separate things for that, because then that's the meta? Or can I make an encounter where I'm fighting 30 monsters by going into maps that have 7 bosses like Warband Boys and shit like that? Like
Electoral Link.
Acid Cave, Lighthouse. What's that one with the 3?
Electoral Link boss. What map is that?
Crystalor.
The Burning Man.
Yep, the guy that detonates.
The retributive explosion. So the absolute worst boss of all is Kaj ILI from Val Temple with the physical rain, physical.
That will one-shot most characters.
Or go get Bog and have a boss that's under the ground. You can't find him, and you step around, and then he finally comes up and murderlates you.
Mud Geyser, you're thinking?
Mud Geyser? Bog?
Bog is
Mud Geyser. Yeah, Bog's
the chargy boy. Yeah.
Roa, yeah.
I do love that chargy boy.
Will they put the Roa nests in the?
Just a shit ton of eggs for you to break? Probably not.
Yeah, I want to break like 15 eggs and have this super juiced Roa.
The flamey boy you were talking about, is that the one where he's immortal until you kill like one of the other ones, and then that one's immortal until you kill the other?
Yeah, the Link means you can only damage one of the 3 at a time, and it switches between them.
So if you bring him in,
you kill the Burning Man, he'll explode.
Will it keep all the other ones alive? Like you've got fucking Katava there, who's linked by a phylacteral link, and you can't kill him until you kill the other. That's the worst case scenario. Like everything.
Yeah,
avoid 100% avoid that boss.
I would totally play that
if you have that. So the other things that come to mind as really deadly, Conley the Unrepentant, Basilica boss based on Innocence, has Bullet Hell.
Right, that attack, insane.
Yeah, that requires a lot of precise dodging to deal with it in the absence of having any way to hide away from it with various in the absence of terrain that you can use to block it. That's absolutely brutal. Let's go through some of the others. As I said, Kaja ILI is absolutely off the charts difficult.
What map is that?
There's a number of bosses that are dangerous without being they're mechanically very easy, but they have very high damage. The one that comes to mind is Chevron the Sickening, I think it is, with the lightning balls. Whenever that has multiple projectiles or turbo, it's brutal. Whenever it has both, it's ridiculous. Now, the thing that's going to make that tricky is that you are going to be off screen some of the time. So you're not going, this boss is easy to deal with if you are aware that she's there, and so you can circle around her. But if you're fighting other things at the time, she's going to require your attention. A bunch of other bosses have powerful area control effects that require your full attention to deal with. And I think the worst combination is going to be when you get something like Arakali's Voltaxic lasers that's firing off at the same time as you're trying to deal with Malformation Piety. Both of those.
Malformation Piety is the one that came to mind as well.
Yeah,
the spinning laser beam that one-shots you.
But it only one-shots you if you are vulnerable to bleed.
What's the Pier boss? Is that the guy that you have to kill him multiple times and he gets smaller and smaller?
The Architect.
Yeah. The same tile set.
Amalgamation thing.
Yeah.
Where you kill him and he Matryoshka dolls.
And he fucks you up
and
if you get
bouncing
too close.
Projectiles.
Oh, that's not Pier. Is that Pier?
Yeah. Port.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's really deadly.
And that one.
Unraveling Horror. That one's going to be that's going to be a wrecking ball, and it's one that's easy to underestimate.
The one, is it Pier then? Maybe the other one that always kills the hardcore players because it brings up the spikes from the floor.
That's the Architect Imp here.
Yeah. God, there are some good bosses out there.
Necropolis. If you don't kill the Necropolis map boss quickly enough, there's like explosions of bone pillars.
Oh.
Yeah, that one requires a teleport move skill to do safely. It's actually it's a lot safer than it used to be, but it is dangerous. The absolute worst one though, Primordial Blocks. The high lithomancer,
the geomancer, lithomancer, yeah,
is really difficult to parse what's going on in the screen. But there's a bunch of crystals that he spawns at various phases that explode with projectiles in multiple different directions. So he has a couple of area control abilities. Even I'm assuming that his boulder mechanic won't be present, but he has a slam that's very well telegraphed. But he also has other crystals that pop up at that period. And essentially, the only way to deal with him, if you can't endure, if you're not at full life, then you need to run to the other side when he's having his tantrum where the crystals are going to spawn. So that's going to be really dangerous because it makes a whole section of the arena too dangerous. And then at that point, Malformation Piety is going to wreck you, or any of the other, or Arakali's Voltaxic Laser, or anything like that.
There's another category that I want to talk about, which is bosses that in context have small arenas but are significantly more dangerous at longer ranges. So like Innocence has a Scorching Ray attack. When you're really close to him, you can cervical strafe him. If you're really far away, that beam is going to track you perfectly and you can't get out of it without spamming dashes.
Right.
Yeah,
and something like Ice Bow Form Piety is really easy to dodge in her arena, but in that arena and you're far away, really hard to dodge.
Isn't there a skeleton boss that does like tri-curse in a triangle that spins?
Oh yeah, Relic Chambers. Yeah, if you curse that boss, or what's the other one that if you curse it is going to wreck you?
Curse Reflect
Is it
Boy.
Bone Crypt that has a ridiculously powerful retaliation if cursed?
I'm unsure.
The other one that comes to mind
is
really dangerous at long range is the Weaver.
Oh, the Spider.
Yeah. The long range ethereal knives is like it doesn't use that ability very much if you're in close range. In fact, it never uses it at close range.
Or an Alira boss. If she detonates dead's another boss you've already killed.
Oh.
That's going to be a hardcore killer right there.
It's going to be a hardcore massacre.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think actually hardcore's going to need to use Devouring Totem for that.
Yeah.
The only use case I've heard of for Devouring Totem.
Or just something that's like constantly trying to consume corpses. Just a safety cast while channeling in
something
there.
Like it's a Devouring Totem.
Yeah.
Just everyone has to run Explodey Chest.
I mean, it would help.
But you're not going to get Explodey Chest for the first.
Yeah, you're not going to get it in hardcore, especially not solo self-found hardcore.
Like it's you can't get it until I mean, if you're in hardcore solo self-found, you can't get it until you encounter the 4 Watchstone Baran for the first time. Or maybe you get it a little bit before 4 Watchstone Baran.
How
have to be at tier 15.
How do you get your Watchstone? Someone linked me like a Reddit post that seems way more efficient than what I do, which is just spam the corners and pray.
So there's the leapfrog method is the fastest way now, but it requires a very powerful character because you're pretty much blitzing through yellow maps. You pretty much get into maps. You might do 20 white maps, then you do a few yellow maps, and then you're straight into reds.
Gonna have to link me this. I definitely won't have a strong character, but it won't stop me from trying.
So the strategy works like this. Get the outer 4 Watchstones as normal. And so step 1 is as normal. Get all 4 inner, not Watchstones, but Watchtowers, and all 4 outer Watchtowers. Use Horizon Orbs, use Zana missions to speed this up. So that's phase 1. So phase 1 ends when you've got when you've found all 8 towers and met all 4 Elder Slayers and beat them once each. Phase 2, you do the inner Octans, but you focus on one Octan one or 2 Octans at a time.
You're robot again. I think I know the one.
As many stones as possible in each one.
I think I know the one you're talking about. It's the one I think I saw. It had like 18 steps, but it was explaining each one step by step by step by step. So if a fool could do it. Okay, I'll have to put that somewhere. Link below, assuming this even makes it into a video. That's 7. So great.
If you're not doing a really powerful meta build though, then I'd still stick with the strategy, the tried and tested strategy of firstly do the outer octants, do the first conqueror in each, then focus on the inner octants, level them all up once, do the first conqueror in each of them, level all the inner octants up again, do the second conqueror in each, level all the inner octants up, do the third conqueror, level them up once more.
Do you have any?
Do Cirrus.
Do you have any recommended like super generic, foolproof, cheap boss killers, basically?
I tend to just make whatever work on bosses, honestly. I mean, usually I'm playing in softcore, so
yeah,
it's not the end of the world. But normally just
poison
whatever
BB.
skill I'm using, just use decoy totem with it.
Yeah, I suppose. You're gonna have to make
will be MVP.
a really, really, really strong decoy totem.
Like a divergent decoy totem that regenerates 20% of its life per second?
Huh. I'm just thinking, I haven't played that reverse knockback explosion totem build in a while. If I just throw that down in a boss room, typically it came out alive. If I throw that down in a boss room with 10 bosses in it, it might actually work.
They should be immune to knockback, the bosses.
Oh, fuck. You shouldn't have told me. You shouldn't have told me. I would have built the build and gotten there and gone like, fuck. That's okay.
So I could have ruined your league start and I didn't.
Thanks for that.
And here I was saying I was a terrible person.
Well, you're still terrible for recommending Val temples. Ugh. I'll do
one of the boss killing strategies that, I mean, this isn't really a strategy. This is just something that I like to do because it's fun. But chaining fireballs is really, really good at packs of enemies, kind of regardless of what enemies they are. You just aim in their general direction, and it does the multiplier on fireball having added damage effectiveness and hitting each enemy twice per projectile in the best case scenario.
Deadeye
huge
fireball.
amount of damage for super cheap.
So this is hit scaling fireball though. Last 2 times I've played fireball.
Yeah, instead of ignite.
Yeah.
So that's hit scale.
Everything you say, I'm like, how can I change that chaos ignite build?
As mines or as direct spellcast?
Mines are probably the best way to do it in terms of scaling damage, even cheaply. I can't stand the self-cast playstyle with the setups that I usually use. Like, if I were to really specialize in it, which I might actually do this league, it would probably be fine. But I tended to rely on cast on crit.
Okay. I remember you had that all the AoE build a while ago.
Yeah, that, and then I made a follow-up on it that was significantly more viable.
Oh, you know what would be hilarious? You know how we were talking about the Juggernaut and strength stacking and accuracy stacking before? And then we decided that actually you probably should go dex and accuracy instead. But let's just go back to Juggernaut strength stacking and accuracy stacking. And I wonder if there's some sort of meme that you could fit into that build there with cast on crit and all that crap with fireball and then just have those elder maces that just make things massive.
Yeah, the huge AoE, and then you scale with strength stacking, like Iron Will.
I'm not even trying to do damage. I'm just trying to.
Just giant AoE. That's Eric Eichen has done that like 3 or 4 times.
Really good at crashing.
I loved the one with the crack mace.
What was the? I just see every time I hear crack mace, it's always just makes me think of rolling smoke.
Smoking crack mace.
But what was the crack mace doing again?
Like the implicit on it, when you have that big of an AoE and you're just cycloning around, whenever that procs, it destroys the entire screen. He was using replica Alberons. What?
What's the implicit on the crack mace? I can't remember it.
So it's trigger level X fiery hit when you hit things.
And so you're using that with. So are you making the crack mace into an elder item on a 2-hander? You can get that. You can get that
AoE per strength.
AoE mod on it, can you? You can get
I
that
believe
on a
he did
two-hander.
that. He had AoE per strength on Crack Mace, and he tried using Replica Frost Breath, the thing where it's like double damage if they're chilled. But apparently there was a bug with double damage for like most of Heist where that actually didn't work.
Classic. What was it, Vendiri or whatever? Working as intended?
But yeah, Replica Alberons significantly improved the strength stacking. So if that stays in the game unchanged and you do the strength stacking accuracy thing,
yeah.
But then Replica Alberons is in the boot slot, so you can't use the new lightning boots.
I'm looking forward to seeing.
Looking at the Elder mod pool for 200 maces, and it doesn't look like it's got the strength. The strength converts to area.
Yeah, these are one-handed maces.
Yeah, they're one-handed.
Oh, they're one-handed. Okay. Yep. Okay. Cool. So you just make two of them that way.
Do you reckon they're going to change much of the like item rebalance for heist stuff, or do you reckon they're just going to put a flat like 10 times harder to get heist shit?
I think the two like super big peaks of super overpowered replicas will get adjusted, and then everything else will be the same. And I mean, the acquisition rate is going to change regardless, just because of the ability to do heists is going to be more random. But I think if there's a specific replica that you want, you're going to be able to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I reckon that with the acquisition side of things, I think people will not regard their blueprints as something to just sit in the stash and ignore. They're going to be a treasure that you will either use yourself or trade to someone else. And I think that'll be the case with pretty much all your blueprints. So for that reason, I don't think it's going to be a massive difference in availability of stuff from Heist.
Yeah, I still have a whole bunch of contracts in my heist locker, and even like the level 40 grand heist that you get like while leveling. I mean, you're not going to get those anymore, but those would still be worthwhile to run if you're looking for replica uniques.
Oh yeah.
I had 1,000 contracts the day before they said they're patching them to be shitter. Like the I level 78 or something, or just one below the level that they said they're going to make all the loot shitter. I'm like, I can't run 1,000 in a day, so I just like gave them all to a merchant I know. I'm like, can you flip these for me? It took him like 3 weeks, but he sold them all for a chaos. So I made 1,000, or I don't know, like 800 C or something. But you can still just buy contracts, I assume, when you level from the guy that sells flat contracts. If you wanna do heist, you can still just buy contracts in abundance.
His inventory resets when you level up, and I don't think
they won't go into map tier. That. Yeah, it's once you hit map tier, they stop there. But you can
stop at 67, yeah.
Yeah, you can just keep buying.
But then, like, once you're at level 90, you can buy, like, 5 from him, and then you have to hit level 91 before his inventory resets.
Yeah, but, like, you can just get a character to maps and then level and de-level and level and level in Blood Aqueduct for maybe 2 hours and get 1,000 really easily.
Oh, I didn't consider the de-level.
You can level in Heist.
Because you don't like Heist, and you're just trying to flip and get through the league, and personal reasons.
This sounds painful.
I didn't have a tabula, okay? And sure, do Heist get a tabula maybe? But
Do Heist get a tabula? They drop like humility and vanity cards drop like candy from the chests that have an armor icon.
When you're trying to get 100 of every type of contract, you don't run them to get more. That's counterintuitive. You do something else, and then you get more, and then you start when you get 100, and then they put a patch out that ruins everything you did. Yeah, fuck Heist. Harvest though, Harvest coming back. You looking forward to that?
I hope it's heavily nerfed, because otherwise it's gonna wind up being more like playing Discord instead of the game.
I don't think it's heavily nerfed, but they did say they're limiting it to like 10 crafts. Try and dissuade
so what
people.
You do is you find a fully formed garden, like as an encounter in a map. You kill everything, you do the crafts, and you leave. No horticulture bench.
Yeah. Well,
no, there is a 10.
He's saying how to fix it from hanging out in Discord Simulator.
There's a 10. There's a cap of 10. So you don't have one guy that has like 5,000 crafts.
Yeah, this is good.
No, that's going to make it worse.
What do you mean?
It's going to be more messing around, more urgency to selling them off as well. So
Or you
there's
could
going
just
to be
delete
more
them.
advertising of sales. But I think that Harvest is going to be...
I think it'll be less advertising of sales. People will just delete the shit ones because no one wants to sell a shit one for a chaos. They'll only save the good ones and sell the good ones, and then if anything, they'll use the shit ones that they would be selling otherwise if there was an infinite supply, like an infinite supply of harrassing. They'd use them for themselves, or they'd just delete them.
See, okay, so there are the shit ones. You're going to ignore the shit ones. That was
I'm
the
not.
case during Harvest League as well.
Got it.
Or you might use them, use them frivolously. There's various uses for them. But with the power crafts, let's say that you get remove add chaos, which was a middle tier one during the Harvest League. I know that because I bought something like 35 of them. They were 30 chaos pretty much always. Remove add chaos was an example of a mod that you would definitely keep to sell at the moment, because it's simply selling it is more profitable than nothing. So you are going to sell it. But I think that because, trading services on Discords are going to be more important than they've ever been because of Harvest. People that do not abuse Harvest trading can no longer craft meta relevant items, because they will be undercut by people that do. The other thing that I think I'm concerned about, this is if they bring it back at anything close to the old power. The other thing that would be concerning is that, what's the purpose of exalted orbs in a world where Harvest is the only way that you can craft a top tier item? They're too expensive, they're too scarce to use frivolously on just improving an item you already have. But they're not going to have the value as a currency anymore. Likewise, just like Chaos Orbs would be like that already, except that the Zana map device consumes them. What's the currency of big trades? Is it going to be Awakener's Orbs, Maven's Orbs?
Nope.
Because there's not a big enough pool of those in circulation.
But chaos is what's the point of chaos? I guess apart from Zana crafting, and no one, people aren't using chaos orbs to craft big boy meta items. It's always chaos is the gold standard, and then X is the slightly higher standard. Even if X become useless, I still reckon everyone would just use them as this stands for 70 chaos because the market says it does.
Did you play when GCP was the gold standard?
Nope. Well, I did, but I wasn't, getting past Act 3, if you know what I mean. Spine snaps a bitch.
The change there was that GCP fell enough in value that people and that was because of the proliferation of the knowledge of the level 20 gem plus 1 GCP recipe becomes a level 1 at 20 quality recipe. That information proliferated, and as a result, there was a catastrophic collapse in the value of GCP. They went from being 5 chaos, which is actually in line with their drop rarity, because they're about 5 times as rare as a chaos orb. They went from 5 chaos to 1.5 to 2 chaos. They would then fall a lot further when the Eternal Labyrinth was added.
But there's no recipe for X. I get what you're saying. There's no use for X, but it's not like Heist League that happened that was printing X and suddenly X is so cheap. If anything, X becoming useless, they'd still be the price that they were in Heist League, more or less, which was, 40C or something.
What, 20C, 30C, 40C?
It's still more than 1C.
Oh yeah, they're going to be more than 1C.
They're still going to be used as an intermediate, higher value trade item.
I mean, maybe Divine Orbs would become the currency of larger trades.
I could see that.
But it's going to come, and actually, Divine Orbs, they have a utility that exalts. If the utility was removed from them, they would cease to be the trade currency. It might take a couple of leagues to happen, but they'd cease to be. I think Divine Orbs would replace them at that point.
So I think going back to just Harvest being in the game, I think this is a case of if something is efficient, then the players will do it even to their detriment.
Yeah.
This kind of ruins the philosophy of what I think Harvest would be good for in the core gameplay loop, which is you're playing along normally and suddenly Harvest, and there's something that you can do to one of your items that will, if not definitely improve it, at least make it not bricked. Because most of the crafting options in the game, you're gambling, and if you don't get it, you have to start over.
So
Harvest is one of the only things you
yeah.
can do that's like, this is basically guaranteed to improve my item.
if hoarder crafting stations didn't exist, people would still sit in the map for 5 minutes trying to sell a craft they got if they thought it was valuable.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Getting rid of them wouldn't fix anything.
And it's not just that you would do that, it's that you would feel compelled to do it.
Yeah, it's like I have this extremely rare, valuable craft, nothing to use it on. I need to sit here like Kadiro Headhunter. It's like I need to sit here until someone gets enough coins to buy this thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be. It would be a Kadiro Headhunter type environment, and then you'd have all sorts of other things. Like it ends up encouraging scamming as well. Like
people don't map the most efficient way anyway. Even if they weren't doing that, they'd still be doing something inefficient. There's no way to please people like that.
The thing is that there's a difference between a massive drop back in inefficiency. Like let's say, for instance, if we're in a meta where beach is the best map to run, you can run, say, shore map, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be reasonably close to running beach. You can even run a much worse map like Spider Forest and still make reasonable progress. Maybe 3 hours running Spider Forest might be equivalent to 100 minutes running beaches in terms of progress you make. But if you get a rare harvest craft, let's say you get a remove ad speed, and assuming harvest works.
Say that last part. Just wait 10 seconds and say that last part again.
Remove ad speed turns. Okay, let's say you get a remove ad speed.
Yep.
Which is which, if applied to a 10 exalt item, has a roughly 1 in 6 chance on boots of pushing it up to a 50x item. So therefore, you're thinking, I've got something that's like 6 exalts here. I need to sell this. I can't drop this item. I can't delete this in order to keep mapping. It's going to be the single biggest drop you've got of the entire play session, unless you are extremely lucky somewhere else. It'd be like having something that said, it'd be like having a Zana Cortex pop up. The Zana Cortex pops up, you're like, I can't beat the boss. I need to call in a boss killer because it's valuable.
What is the fix then? There is no fix. You've given the players
from crafting mirror tier items full stop by making harvest
up to T3 or whatever.
I just make it its own influence. So then you can craft your perfect set of move speed, life, resist, 2-tone boots, but you can't get any conqueror mods on it. It will create a brilliant item for a solo self-found player. It will create a brilliant intro to maps item, but it will be outright useless for crafting mirror tier items, which means that once you outgrow it, you're like, oh, that's a harvest garden.
Was that pun intentional?
How cool. I'm not going to use it.
Let's think. What they probably did was somewhere in the middle where, so they made it so you can't have like a 6 influence crazy explodey chest, but you can still craft, like, you've awakened or orbed your explodey chest, and it's like, okay, I need life and resist on this, and you can do that with harvest. So like if they removed like remove add influence mod, but they kept remove add life, that would be a step in the right direction, but not fully there, according to the philosophy you just laid out.
The remove ad stuff feels a lot like the Maven Orb in a way.
Anything that allows targeted removal, anything that allows essentially eternal annulling. There is a reason that in the standard league, eternal orbs, the few that still exist, are actually used at a mirror apiece. Like, it's not like they're just priced at a mirror as a collector's item. The people that are mirror service crafters actually buy them with the intention of consuming them at a mirror apiece. And the main reason is the incredible power of a surgical annul. So a surgical annul, or let's say you've got let's say you've got a 5 mod rare, and you can eternal, if you were to try and eternal annul it, you would on average take 5 eternal orbs. So it costs 5 mirrors a Calandra. That's the benefit you're getting by having a surgical annul. People pay 5 mirrors for this effect in standard. Now, standard is its own beast. There's people with wealth that you can't get amass in a temporary league, but that gives a sense as to how overpowered any of the surgical removals are.
Yeah.
Likewise, Eternal Exalting, people spend 20, 30, 40 Eternal Orbs. Now, this was done much more back in the day that Eternal Orbs were 5 exalts, not 500. But people used to Eternal Exalt, revert, dozens of times, spending a mirror or more just to add a specific mod to an item that was already 5 mods. The issue with Harvest is that what the best crafts do to, like, they are so much better at turning an outstanding item into an extraordinary one than they are at turning a mediocre one into a good one.
What about, so annulling is really powerful, exalting is really powerful, but if you took away remove cold and you took away add cold and all you had left was remove and add cold, then that's more of like a,
all you're doing is like
not quite re-rolling the tier, because there could be other mods that it could change into, but it's like, it's basically, think of the idea that I floated while Harvest was still going was you can craft an item and it has the 6 mods that you want on it, but they're all crap tier, like all the lowest tier of mods. That is still much more difficult than crafting a good item with Harvest and all the targeted stuff. And then once you have that 6 mod thing with really crappy tiers, eventually you could add them up to good tiers.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking on that. So that was the approach that I used for crafting a cluster jewel during Harvest. This was not a broken use. This was a powerful use. This was, what was it that I started with? A 3-socket life jewel. I used alterations to get 35% increased effective nodes. Then I rolled for a Exalt Chaos, so I was Augment Chaos, which you can actually use on a magic item, and then add remove Chaos until I got top tier Chaos Resist on it. Then after that, I imprint Regaled until I got, and basically got myself a perfect 4-mod cluster jewel that way. That approach would still work. Part of that is that you're abusing imprint base. Imprint base are another broken crafting tool that exists.
Got to shut down the Korean multi-boxes.
That's another thing. It's the acquisition method for that. Like, Beast really should be instance owner gets it, and everyone else in the instance has a 25% chance to get it. Just to reduce to bring it more in line with Self-Fight, to reduce the extraordinary benefit of party play for Beasts.
I mean, they're just playing bestiary to the best capability they can.
Yeah, it's just that is...
They, if anything, are just like the Harvest players that you are talking about. If they're not doing that, they're doing it wrong in their own minds.
Yeah. And to be honest, that is true as well. That's the way that bestiary is set up. Except that you don't have a massive... Like, it doesn't cause a massive pause in your gameplay. Like with bestiary, the way bestiary originally was, if you encountered I think it's a Pharric Tiger Alpha, the one that allows you to summon Feral. If you encountered that, or a Phenomenal Plagued Arachnid, or one of the other valuable ones, you could then call in 5 mates, and then you would all kill that beast together. That no longer works. It's only people that were in the instance at the time that the beast was first discovered, so the first time that it became active, that get it. But it's one of those things where the optimal play pattern isn't fun with beast farming.
But it's fun for some people, and it's like the Labyrinth argument. Labyrinth isn't fun for most people, and that's why stuff from Labyrinth is valuable, because it's fun for a couple of people and then they run it. So bestiary in its current form is fun for a couple of people and they run it. It's just the people that are thinking they have to do everything that aren't having fun when they They're not realizing that they have the choice to do what they want. And if what they want to do is the most meta and most broken thing, then they're going to have an okay-ish time doing that, whatever the meta turns out to be.
I mean, I largely ignore beast farming when I'm playing.
It's RNG.
I add iron half a pack size sometimes.
Reinhardt's awesome, or he was, and now he's not, because he used to be deterministic and now he's RNG. But the game's RNG, so I can't complain. But I will complain every time it comes up in any sort of conversation. It used to be you get crabs at the beach, and now you don't. Now it's just like snakes for some reason, or birds. I mean, it makes sense. It doesn't. You don't get them anywhere. If you want something, you buy it from the Korean multi-boxer who has it listed for 60C constantly.
Same thing happened with Metamorph as well. Used to be that if you wanted eyes, there were certain maps you'd run. Whereas now...
I had no eyes.
Well, that's what you get for farming the same map over and over again. He said he had no eyes.
Yeah, I always short lungs.
Yeah,
and
depends.
Now that it's random, I'm still short on eyes.
Yeah, there must be some sort of fuckery there. Like it's preferred treatment based on like quarters of the atlas, and they forgot that there's 5 organs and like 4 quarters. So eyes just don't show up.
Is the dominance. It's the dominance when you select more than one boss in there. So if you select an eye from one boss and a lung from another boss, you'll always get the lung as the itemized sample, assuming you qualify for one. The eye is the lowest priority, and that's the reason that there's a shortage of eyes.
So you need to select eye as the only boss and then fill everything else up with stuff that isn't boss, and you're guaranteed an eye.
Correct.
Or you need to run polish and up. Run polish and up, guarantee eyes, do city squares, and then you're guaranteed an eye, and then the polish will spit out some other piece of shit. And then you get 2 things for the price of 1. I'm definitely not planning Metamorph this league. Dude.
The solution for many things is run city square.
Yeah, what if they haven't shown off any of the Metamorph stuff. We'll get it tomorrow, sure, but I'm going to speculate because you guys love speculating. What if one of the things on the Metamorph thing is like prioritizes eyes? You know? Like one of the skill tree things, Atlas skill trees for Metamorph, something about increased eye drop rate? Oh, fuck yeah. I'd do it.
Then you end up with a surplus of eyes and you're out of livers.
Well, then you just take it off and you go back to normal game. 50-50.
You've got the 3-for-1 recipe anyway. Like, people always forget that 3-for-1 recipe is really good.
It's garbage. It's
Especially if the rewards on the organ are garbage.
If it was 4-for-1 and you could guarantee eyes, I'd rather do it that way. Because it's 3-for-1 and the 3 that you put in, you're guaranteed not to get back. So if it was 4-for-1, you could put in guaranteed eyes. I'd do a 4-for-1 for a guaranteed eye rather than multiple 3-for-1s for never getting an eye.
Yeah, I get eyes often. As I say, it's never eyes that I'm short on, really.
You go out in public, people constantly giving you eyes. It's the cat shirt.
I believe that.
I go out like this. People stay away from me. It's great. People think I'm crazy.
People know that about me.
Oh, rest in peace.
There was a time when my hair was about that crazy, but my hair is like wavy, so it sticks out in more directions. There was a time where my hair was that long, and I was walking home, and someone in the distance saw me and crossed the street to the other side because we were walking towards each other.
I went out with a long drapey thing on, and someone leaned out of their car and said, "Hey, Jesus," and I'm like, I should probably get a haircut. Very insulting.
See, I'm just so lazy when it comes to hair that I just take an attitude of kill it all, wait 8 months, repeat.
Yeah, it works.
I actually had an earlier haircut this year because I could tell that I think it was during May that it was like, ooh, this stuff with COVID's getting really bad, and there's just this narrow reopening. It may not last, and I better do it now. And then, of course, that was the case.
I slightly trimmed my beard. It was here. So I trimmed it down to here, but I left way too much on this side compared to this side. So now I'm like slightly up, but you can't notice, so it's fine. I'm gonna cut all this off eventually.
I had a haircut like 2 months before lockdown, and then I went the entire lockdown without having a haircut. And then I think for Thanksgiving, I was home with my mom, and I was like, "Can you please give me a haircut?"
Just shave it. So it doesn't even matter.
Now I have the worst haircut.
Did you get a bowl cut?
Mom did it, and my hair was awful. It was not a bowl cut. I would have preferred a bowl cut.
Oh.
So so she cut to like where the temples are really short, and then the bangs in the middle of the forehead are still really long, and it's like a It's like a landing strip. But somehow there's like a random bald spot.
Oh.
Like where
it might be natural.
Where the landing strip is.
Like the one I've had since I was about 23.
No, it's like where the headset rests. She like cut too far towards the skull.
It's shallow there anyway because you've worn up. Like if I take these off, I've got a dip in my head. Not as bad as fucking
it's
Tyler
like right
1.
There, she cut too much right there.
How do you feel about wrapping up? We got like.
I was about to make the same suggestion.
We got like yeah.
I can trim this. Is about the
what do you mean?
Limit of the runtime of a podcast.
Yeah.
Usually.
Shall I not edit this?
Just upload the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, that's the worst.
If
you're gonna unlock it, sure.
I'm going to edit this. We have been recording for nearly 4 hours. 20 more minutes and it's 4 hours. This is 3 hours and 40 minutes, edited down to however long it turned out to be. This is going to take ages to edit, so don't expect this anytime soon. Put it at league start. Just a bunch of people speculating before they have all the information that people already know by the time it comes out.
Yeah, 2 days. This will be obsolete.
Oh yeah. Fuck man. That's why.
Start thinking on some builds, son.
That's why I didn't. That's why I made sure most of the podcast, 80% of the podcast, isn't speculation. So 80% of this is viewable. And then there's the occasional time we talk about skill trees, and we're like, oh, those idiots didn't know about the Elementalist pre-nerfs after people hyped it up or something. I don't know. Yeah. I'll link all your. I'll link your shit. I'll link your shit, Gog. You want YouTube? You stream on Twitch yet? Only YouTube?
I'm sort of starting to stream on Twitch a little bit occasionally, but I'm still working out whether Twitch or YouTube is a better choice for me.
Mm-hmm. My attempt at wrapping up the podcast didn't work. Then Gog proceeded to talk about YouTube analytics for another half an hour. Anyway, my attempt at wrapping up
has gotten us sidetracked.
It's your fault, Gog. No, it's fine. Gog, you do the YouTube, so I will put a link to your YouTubes. What are you on the YouTubes? This is how normal humans speak.
What am I on the YouTubes?
Yeah, just what's your username? Fucking Sirgog, done. Hey Jousis, what's your username on the YouTubes? If that's where you want me to link people to you, but people. If anything, everyone who watches me knows who you are, but go ahead and do it anyway.
I'm pretty sure I can link the YouTube channel.
You're not going to pronounce it and let everyone know how it's actually pronounced? You don't want to reveal that secret?
Strategically avoided it.
You've avoided camera, you've avoided pronunciation. It's like Beric's respite.
That is the link to the channel.
That is the link.
I can't believe I still remember that URL. Because like when you go to someone's channel now, it's like channel and then a bunch like a hex code ID or something, and then they haven't removed the user endpoint. So this URL worked in 2008.
Jousis proceeded to talk about YouTube URLs and other weird shit for like 20 minutes. Anyway, this is the end. Thanks for making it this far. We'll do another one in like a month with different people. I enjoyed editing it, at least doing like the overlays and stuff, so if you just listen to it, I don't know, the first 2 hours is worth watching on YouTube if you didn't understand any of the stuff that we said. Yeah, fuck me. See ya.